Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Road to Brawl Cup South America West. It is match day number 4. We're going to see Group D, and we've had a stellar set of matches yesterday, the day before, and the day before that, and the day before that. And I am excited to be here today. How are you doing today, Duncan?
I'm doing amazing. We've had some amazing games, like you've said. We are through 3 of our 4 groups. Today is going to be determining our final team that is going to advance to our 4-team double elimination bracket to claim that ticket to the Brawl Cup. So the stakes are very high right now. We've already had 3 teams passing through, and today one of Capiata FC, Comeback, and Dame Paleta are going to be claiming that final ticket, Panda. Obviously, a lot to play for. What are you excited to see today?
I mean, I want to see some South America action. And like you said, we have Dame Paleta, we have Reborn, Trick, and Max in that team. They're from Peru, Argentina, and Chile, respectively. Comeback have Ren, Carlos, and Ale. All 3 of these guys are from Chile. And Capiata FC, we have Chocoxidized, Zombie Killer, and Game Profi. And all of them are from Paraguay. So this is the first time we're seeing a Paraguayan squad in this tournament. And that's nice.
Yeah, no, I am definitely excited to see this Paraguay team. Definitely going to get a little bit confused by those names, but thank you very much, Chalk Oxidize and Guillaume Profi. We'll get used to it as we go through here, guys. But in case you're not familiar with the format, we had 3 qualifiers giving us 12 qualified teams. Those teams were split into 4 groups of 3 teams. We've seen Group A, B, and C already play. Today we will be seeing Group D, where the top 1 team will advance to our finals tomorrow. So obviously we've already got 3 teams claiming that final spot. Definitely going to be excited to see which Group D team is going to be joining them, and then we'll have that double elimination bracket for that ticket to the Brawl Cup, Panda.
Yeah, it is. It has been a very exciting Road to Brawl Cup in South America West because we've had some pretty major upsets, honestly. Like yesterday, I think the overwhelming favorites yesterday were Inosis Esports because they have had a pretty good stellar cast of characters, right? They are up against Zarita Gang, and that's what we thought would be like the biggest matchup in this tournament. And we thought we'd see them in the double elimination knockout stage. So this is very unprecedented, and as a result, a lot of things are going to be out in flux. So I'm excited to see what we have today, if we're going to have more upsets or if we're going to have a more even set of matches or not.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be hard for me to be surprised by anything after some of the craziness that we saw taking place yesterday. Like you said, the favorite for Group C was eliminated, so that's got to give a breath of fresh air to some of these Group D teams that might be thinking that they might be a little bit more of an underdog. Clearly, with this fresh new meta, it's anybody's game. Whoever is abusing some of these new buffed brawlers, some of these brawlers with new buffies are going to be able to take a little bit more of an advantage. And now these players have had a full 2 days to try to learn the new meta, so obviously not a lot of time to practice, but still a little bit of knowledge about the meta is better than no knowledge about the meta. So I'm excited to see which of the brawlers are going to come out at the top of the pick and ban rates here.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday, if we just talk about some of the brawlers that we saw Nita a lot more than we've seen her in the past, right? And I feel like on the early days of a new meta, it's all about meta testing, and you have to stress test what you can go in and can't use and whatnot. And honestly, whenever we had Nita, I felt like she was very underwhelming. She was always being pushed back, and the number of bears that we saw were like either 1 or 2 in a match, which is kind of very underwhelming. I don't think I saw a hypercharge bear from most of the Nitas that we saw yesterday, so that's something to think about.
Yeah, and when you did see the bear, it was typically dealt with pretty quickly too by some of these other brawlers with high DPS. Otis and Colt come to mind, as well as the Rico, who is still pretty popular. A brawler that we were excited to see that we didn't really get to see at all is going to be that BB, who is being pretty commonly regarded as the best brawler in this new meta. Now that we've got the buffies activated, her Vitamin Boost Gadget Buffy is insane. Her Hypercharge Buffy is insane. So that's a brawler I'm expecting to see banned out. We did not get to see any of the Bull Buffies in action, but he wasn't picked or banned out very often. So obviously these pro teams in South America West are valuing Bull a little bit lower than some of the buffied up counterparts like the Crow and the Bow and the Leon that we saw a lot.
Yeah, and I feel like these rounded buffies aren't as oppressive as the previous round of buffies. Don't get it wrong, they are still really strong, but they don't feel as overwhelming as the previous one. So I guess kudos to the team for that. But another thing that I noticed is a lot of teams try to overwhelmingly use buffy characters, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be good for the actual gameplay, right? We're going to go into our first set. It's going to be on Hard Rock Mine. And what are our bans, Duncan?
Yep, well, we're going to have our global bans, which, in case you guys aren't familiar with the global ban format, each of these teams before the match gets to choose two brawlers that are not going to be available for every single set against each other. Those bans are going to be Pierce, Globert, BB, and of course Crow. Glowy, my apologies, guys. I forgot he got a name change. Pierce, Glowy, BB, and Crow. The map-specific bans for Hard Rock, we've got Spike, Nita, Bo, Mortis, Dog, and the Alligator, with Sandy coming off for comeback with the first pick. Pretty solid lane brawler. Obviously, that super can be very impactful for holding control or taking control back in the mid. And we're going to see Dame Paleta pull out the Rico. This has always been a fantastic Rico map. Big fan of that pick.
Oh, yeah. Rico, so many good walls for the Rico to bounce those shots off. You can't really go wrong with the Gus either, right? Because it's a classical, really good mid here. It gives you survivability if you're going to go for a, very threatening last pick. And even if you don't have a tankier last pick here, Gus can hold his own in the mid. So it's generally a pretty versatile brawler.
Yeah, I agree. One of the safest mids in the game, has been for a while, probably will be for a while, but we're going to see one of the more aggressive picks on this map coming out for the side of comeback. They're taking that shade. With the way that this map is built, there's a lot of areas where you can kind of work yourself into to be completely invulnerable to any brawler that can't shoot through a wall. So I think that the shade is definitely a high risk, high reward brawler. As long as he's able to get a hypercharge, it should be able to clear out a ton of free space for his team. Maybe even get a reset at the end of the game. Otis is going to come out as well to take one of the better tank counters off the board, try to pre-counter out any aggro that Dame Paleta might pull out here.
Yeah, Dame Paleta just doesn't give an F because they take it Frank here, and that is going to have a lot of HP. They're going to be pushing back people in comeback, and then obviously to add insult to injury, Gus with his shield and the hypercharge. I like this composition from Dame Paleta, but the Otis mute, and we've seen how good Shade was yesterday. Still, give me a little bit of pause.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting game. I feel like that Frank and the Shade are going to be the two players to watch here. Frank does have a pretty good matchup into Shade due to his ability to break open the map, but at the same time, there's a lot of benefits to all of the current maps that we have in the game. So Shade's going to have to utilize those advantages. Getting that first hypercharge for a amount of time is going to be huge. But we're into set number one between Dame Paleta and Comeback. Have Comeback and Red trying to take over this mid right now, but we're going to have the Otis versus Gus matchup, which should fare pretty well for Trick.
Right now, Gisbin is just able to move up, get those gems there. Trick gets a kill on Rem, so that is going to be a little bit unfortunate for Gisbin because he has to go back and ensure that he doesn't get pressured too much. It's not going to be an easy lane for Ren by any means because he's going up against a Rico who is basically in his habitat right now.
Yeah, this map was pretty much made for Rico as we see him get a full clip all the way across that side of the map. It's really hard to get a Rico out of your spawn once he gets positioning here. The Shade should be one of the better brawlers to deal with it, but Reborn is just having his way with this blue roster so far. He's got that Robo Retreat speed activated as well for a little bit more escapability, but so far, Comeback has full control of the mid. That Rico super is absolutely disgusting too, and surely he's going to have a Hypercharge super available, but that Sandy super does push the red team back.
Oh yeah, that was so much of aggression and map control coming in from Reborn there, but they've lost that a little bit. Max has to come back here. There's a big hypercharge from Reborn, but he kind of misses a lot of his shots. Trick gets a kill on Sky, but Rem is just trying to make sure that he pushes back the other team, and he's done his job well enough to give control to his team and also pick up some gems.
Yeah, certainly a good play to clear out some room. He's also got that hypercharge now, so once he gets a super, he's going to have that play that they need to try to take back some positioning and control here. He misses his gadget shot, which is going to be a little unfortunate, but Max is going to trade out with a missed gadget of his own on the Frank. Gem count looking pretty even so far, but the Frank super is going to be massive. Otis is going to hit the mute in the nick of time, though. This is actually a really clutch mute, but it's still going to end up in the Shade falling down. Gibson is in a pretty bad spot. He's got to back off.
Oh yeah, this is a little bit weird here because the Rico has been, attended here without being paying rent, and he's been absolutely oppressive. Now, Max going in with a hypercharge, he's trying to do something. He's created a lot of space for his team, has also broken up a lot of the walls. So the Rico, I don't think that would like that, but there are kills, and unfortunately, there's going to be a reset. Rem is still going on in Trick here, and the gems being picked up from Sky allows Comeback to get another countdown.
Very opportune hypercharge for the Shade right there to reset the countdown. Dame Paleta is going to be trying to take some of this positioning. They don't need to get a kill necessarily. They do have time to reset naturally from the mid, which they do. Max is regardless going to hit his Frank stun. They're not going to be able to capitalize on that due to the Sandy Storm obfuscating their vision. But still, that's going to be Dame Paleta with the countdown. Sky is in a compromised position. He's going to fall, but surely Gibson is there. He does connect the mute too, so that's going to be a lot of positioning. Reborn trying to prevent them from the reset, but it's going to be 12 apiece, and Shade should be able to get that kill as well in the top right.
Indeed, and Trick has to be careful about Ren coming back with a super at some point here. There's going to be a wall break there by Max, but I don't think that was a very opportune Frank stun. I feel like a lot of the Frank stuns have been not as useful.
Yeah, definitely. But we are getting near the end of this game right now. 13
Uh-oh.
gems apiece. Whoever gets 15 first is going to not have to worry about that reset any longer. And it looks like it is going to be comeback. Gibson barely able to get out of that Frank pull. Now it's up to Trick and Reborn to try to get a reset here.
Wow.
They can deal with just the Shade kill, but they need to collect that gem, and they are not yet able to. They need to defeat Gibson or Sky, and they are running out of time to do so with 2 seconds left on the board. Surely we're going to see Comeback take this victory. And indeed, Comeback is able to come back and take game number 1, Panda.
That was beautiful stuff from Comeback. I mean, they were pushed back and they were facing the brunt of the Rico the entirety of the match, and somehow they were able to pull out all those stops and get those dubs that they needed. Every single time we saw Dame Paleta doing really well against Comeback, they made some mistakes here and there, which led to 2 people falling, and I feel like they need to address that as they go into this game number 2.
Yeah, it's really interesting to look at how the game changes once the map gets opened up, because obviously Max is the main wall breaker here. He doesn't want to destroy too many walls for Reborn to be useless, but at the same time, every single wall he destroys is going to make the Shade a little bit worse. So he's got to kind of balance that out as they continue into this game. So far, pretty good start for Comeback though. Gibson does have the significant amount of gems on his head compared to the mid gem carrier of the other team. Max is in a powerful position though, and Ren is going to have to try to deal with that, which he does successfully.
Ren is going to go on the left-hand side, has created so much of area and control for his team over there, but Dame Paleta are so far back, and unfortunate for them, they've lost a lot of control. They don't have the gems. They are still very much distracted by, you know, the annoying member from Comeback on their side, so it's not that good for them.
Yeah, Comeback's doing a really good job spreading out their forces to be as annoying from as many different angles as they can. That Frank stun with the Gus hypercharge or with the Gus shield is definitely going to be more than enough to clean up Ren's Shade right there. Gibson he does still have so many more gems than his opposition though, with that Sandy Sandstorm coming down too. They're going to have a lot of opportunity to move up and get in a position to get these final 2 gems.
There's a super for Reborn, where Hypercharge coming in from Ren. He's going on the hunt for Trick. He finds Trick. He gets all the gems over there. Hypercharge from Max, but he doesn't matter because he gets muted out, and they are able to dispatch 2 members of Dame Paleta come back in a really great spot.
Yep, they're going to have to try to kill Ren with those 4 gems to get a reset here, but he's going to be able to heal up nice and safe in the spawn. With only 2 seconds left, they got to start making a push, but it's going to be too little too late. And while it wasn't as electric of a game as game number 1 was, regardless, Comeback is going to be able to pull out that Hard Rock mindset in a clean sweep right there. Really well played to the boys in blue.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I liked how Ren was able to create so much of room and positioning for his team. He was pressuring the right people. He always ensured that he wasn't too close to the Frank unless he could hit Frank without Frank hitting him. Didn't charge up the Frank too much either, but was always hounding out the Rico. So beautiful stuff coming in from Comeback there to take down Dame Paleta, especially because at the starting of the set, they were completely pushed back all the way to the spot, and I didn't think that they had a chance.
Yeah, I really like the comp that they had. I feel like the Shade was a really good pick just to keep that constant pressure up, even though it was a little bit countered out by the Frank. Like we kind of mentioned, the Frank had to destroy those walls, which makes his Rico a little bit less useful. So I think that Comeback did a good job kind of identifying what weaknesses that Dame Paleta's comp had that they could exploit. The Sandy supers were great for taking positioning back as well. So overall, really even matchup, but a pretty well-tuned comp from Comeback. They played it well enough to get that victory.
Yeah, that was some good stuff there. I mean, I wish I could see the stats here because I want to see how well the Shade specifically played, because that was awesome. That being said, you had Trick also playing well as a Gus on the other team, but unfortunately, they were being run circles around by that Shade.
Yeah, no, exactly. That was definitely the biggest issue for them that we saw in the draft, at least. But overall, I do think that both of these teams seem so far to be pretty evenly matched. Definitely not too much of a difference between the skill levels of these 2 rosters. And we're going to have to see if Dame Paleta is able to bring it back, because set number 2 is going to be coming up soon, guys. And we'll have Brawl Ball Pinhole Punt for our map right there. So it should be a pretty fun one. We saw some crazy Brawl Ball action in Group C yesterday, so I'm excited for more of that action today.
I believe Pinhole Punt is the map, right? So
yes,
you have a lot of grass in the mid, and it's gonna be pretty interesting what different ideas that people bring to the table. Yesterday we had a lot more tankier oppositions and tankier brawlers that we saw being brought to the table. Maybe today, after knowing the meta a little bit more, you're gonna have some changes being brought to the table. So I'm kind of interested to see what different strategies teams employ here.
Yep, I do see this as being a pretty good map for a lot of the new buffied brawlers. Crow, BB, Bull, Nita, Bo, Leon. Honestly, all 6 of them can definitely make a case for on this map. We're going to have our bans coming through here, though. It is indeed Brawl Ball Pinhole Punt, guys, but our bans are Ems, Leon, Bo, Lou, Shelly, and Charlie. So we do see 2 of those new buffies getting banned out. Obviously, BB and Crow already in the global ban, so unlikely to see the new buffies unless Bull or Nita are going to get drafted here. We do have Dame Paleta with that first pick, and a lot of the more popular brawlers here are ones that have decent mid control and vision.
For sure. They also have Spike as their first pick here, and I think Spike is a pretty safe choice, but you kind of do have to be worried about what you're going to be facing. On the other side, though, we have a Otis coming out, and Otis is great into tankier brawlers. It can mute you out, and you can even get the stun when you get that hypercharge. So I like Otis. It also has the ability to, drop a lot of damage all of a sudden.
Yeah, I think that both Spike and Otis are 2 of the more safe, popular brawlers to take early in draft. They both do well into mid-range and very strong into tanks, so I feel like it's a pretty safe pick to get off the board early here. I do like Otis's matchup into Spike a little bit more than Spike's matchup into Otis. I think the Fat Splatter gadget is really good for the initial interaction too, trying to help your teammates take a little bit of control of that mid. We're going to see Lumi be the next pick here, which is a brawler who, although she did get buffs, was still not very popular throughout our first couple days of group play here. I think that she does have a decent enough use case, but overall, I think she can get overwhelmed. So I'm a little bit nervous about that pick for comeback.
And we have B coming out for Dame Paleta, and B is such a oppressive brawler, especially once we go into overtime. So you have to be careful about this, as Lumi doesn't have the most range. So in overtime, she's not going to be as good. And Mortis coming out is insane, because Mortis is such an insane assassin right now. Even if he got nerfed with his buffies and gadgets and whatnot, he's still really good.
Yeah, Mortis is definitely going to be really strong. Although he does get countered out by the Otis, he's going to have a great matchup into Lumi. Thank goodness, though, Panda. We're finally going to get our first look at the Bull buffies. I've been begging to see this for a very long time, and although the matchups into Spike and B not going to be fantastic, with that HP, especially with that Star Power buffy, I feel like the Bull could have a pretty good matchup. Obviously, free matchup into Mortis. So I'm excited about this draft from Comeback. Didn't love the Lumi, but I love the Bull pick, and I feel like it could be anybody's game, Panda.
Really? Okay. I mean, I haven't played both, so I don't know, but let's go into game number 1 of the second set here. Gisbin being taken out almost immediately by Trick. That is super coming down by Trick once more. And unfortunately, Sky caught out in an awkward position. Why were you so far behind, knowing that the ball was in a good position to score?
That was a really, really quick goal. It looks like Trick was just able to get so much value out of that super, throwing it in front of the goal. And already the positioning is looking good for the side of Dame Paleta. The super is going to go down. Gibson's going to have to push back a little bit. And so far, unfortunately, we haven't really gotten to see too much of what Bull can do. He's kind of been in a defensive posture this entire game. Creature of the Night gadget is there, but Max is going to dash into a couple of walls, and Ren is going to clean that up nicely, giving a little bit of a break to come back, but still a lot of pressure.
Yeah, trying to get that super kick in doesn't do it. Oh, there is that grounded super being used by Sky to get that kill. That is massive here, but the ball being moved back, and a lot of ball controlled by Dame Paleta.
Yep, and they're going to be popping that B hypercharge, so Dame Paleta is going to have a lot of value from that. Reborn is tapping like crazy on the B right now, but here goes Gibson for the ball. He's going to get it, but he is going to be stopped in his tracks by Trick right there. Might have had a little bit of potential for a goal, but he's going to be stopped, and they're going to have to reset in the mid.
Yeah, there's a little bit of detente here as the teams try to figure out what they want to do right now. It's Brennan in an awkward position here. He's going to be going up against Reborn on the right-hand side. Mano with Gisbin and Max. So Max desperately trying to swap his positioning over there. Hypercharge from Trick pushing back the opposition, but still the ball control on the side of Dame Paleta. It's an awkward situation to be in if you're in comeback.
Definitely. The mid control is so important on this map, and Dame Paleta have had full mid control pretty much this entire game. They're going to try to force the ball through, but Gibson is there with enough HP to be able to prevent that. Max is just going to go farm one free dash off of him, but even though Bull does have a hypercharge, Ren has his mute, it just doesn't seem like they're able to get any type of mid control. With 20 seconds left, that kill that Max just secured is definitely not going to help them out.
Super hypercharge going in, and Gisbin trying to get a kill. He does get one kill, not able to get the second one, despite the fact that he was grounded in place by rooted in place by a Spike, he was still able to get that kill, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, no, definitely a little bit of an impressive play, but they were going to need a
Mm-hmm.
miracle to be able to get a goal with that
Yeah.
little time left. So definitely a pretty tough break for them. I think that they need to try a little bit harder to win that initial interaction. I feel like once they lost that mid control, Dame Paleta really never left that middle grass, and it's really hard, especially if you don't have the vision over them. So I feel like that first interaction is definitely what we got to keep our eyes on for.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I feel like it's also the fact that, Bold is not going to be able to get into the best positioning against compositions such as this one. And you see, he's already out of position, and Max is going to be there being a big nuisance.
Wow.
What? He scored! Oh my god, that's crazy.
Yeah, that was a really quick goal. That's the tough part about going up the far left side. You obviously get a little bit more room to maneuver if you are the bull, but at the same time, then you're going to be out of position should the other team take it up the other side. So that was definitely a really well played opposition by Dame Paleta to try to get themselves in that spot to score that goal. That's going to be Ren falling quite quickly too. So once again, Max is in a powerful position here. He might go forward again. He does go forward again. And the Mortis dribble is going to be more than enough for Dame Paleta to win that game. It seems like they just had the draft if there.
Yeah, it's a draft diff, and if you look at also the Lumi, right, it doesn't have that much of burst potential to take down a Mortis, especially when you're facing the brunt of both a B and a Spike giving backup. So you are, in a position where you're gonna die, but you also have to defend the Mortis, and you don't have the HP for it. And if the Mortis is in your face, your super isn't gonna be rooting it in place. So like, in all of the math, Lumi was not it.
I completely agree with that. As much as I've been glazing the Bull pick too, it seems like Bull was probably not it either. He really only had that matchup onto the Mortis, and Mortis, one of the most mobile brawlers in the game, he is just going to simply leave that matchup and go fight somebody else. So overall, the matchups were just really never able to get set for Comeback to have a chance to win that set. Really well played by Dame Paleta to take that Mortis and to kind of abuse it to be able to secure a couple of easy goals.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that was a very impressive display coming from Dame Paleta, but we also have to be cognizant of the fact that it wasn't exactly the best comp that they were facing by Comeback. So that's something to think about as we go into our next set, which is going to be Hideout. It's a bounty map, and we haven't seen Hideout much, but we've seen it more than Layer Cake, I believe. But I'm so happy we're not seeing Shooting Star, though.
Yeah, that's true. I think looking at our maps today, we should have a lot of Hideout and not as much Shooting Star. So it should be a nice change of pace as far as the bounty maps go there. But just in general, Hideout is one of those maps that it is a little bit more closed off as far as bounty goes, but with a couple of choice wall breaks, it is a very wide open map. So brawlers like Brock and Piper are definitely going to be something that you got to keep your eye out for to try to break up the map a little bit. A brawler like Gray can definitely thrive on this map too, because he can push up behind that wall and get that pull through the wall. So I feel like those are some brawlers I'll have my eyes out for. Obviously, like Angelo, Nani, Pierce, some of those more overpowered snipers are going to be popular in the meta, as well as some of those assassins like Mortis.
Oh yeah, and then obviously we can't forget about Leon. Leon's also been really, really good, especially with the buffies. We saw how good he was yesterday. The survivability that Leon has, the lollipop drop also gives you 15% movement speed for the entirety of your team who can be in it. Then we talked about the fact that lollipop drop is just generally a lot more usable than it was in the past. In the past, if you wanted to drop it in a specific place, Leon had to go to that specific place, then hit it, right? But now you can place it where you actually want it to be placed. So we got Leon.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that at all. I feel like his buffies are really well suited for a map like this. But our bans are going to be Spike, Brock, Colt, Gray, Jean, and Angelo. So we do see Comeback banning out two of the most popular wall break brawlers here. I guess that they definitely want to keep those walls up for their Leon right here. I do like the Leon pick quite a fair amount, but Byron and Otis going to be coming out to try to answer that. I think that the poison that Byron offers is good for keeping tabs on the Leon should you be able to hit your shots. Obviously, Otis has that mute if Leon tries to get up close and personal, so I think it's a pretty decent answer, but I do still think Leon's going to be really strong.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And we have the Byron and the Otis, but now the Nani's coming on the other side. I like the Nani pick because you have a lot of range, which you can cover on the right-hand side or on the left-hand lane, depending on, the situation and whatnot. But they have to go for something a little bit more in terms of keeping control. And I feel like neither of the brawlers that they have do that. Max can help with that.
I would say so. The Nani just has to hit a lot of shots to keep control, so I definitely see what you're saying there. I think the Max Leon combination is interesting. Obviously, Leon already a pretty fast brawler, so getting him a little bit of additional movement speed, it certainly can't hurt, especially if he is invisible. It's basically going to allow him to have both star powers active at the same time, essentially. So I like that combination. I do think that they are kind of putting a lot of eggs in the Leon basket here, though, and the Buster is going to be coming out for Dame Paleta to counter that. I like the idea. I think that Dame Paleta is definitely going to play a pretty grouped up match. So very curious to see if there's going to be like a lot of team squad wipes and a lot of action happening like at once.
Yeah, and I feel like the other reason why you want to go for Max is that the hypercharge allows your teammates get the hypercharge as well, right?
Yeah.
It helps you charge up that. So like Leon's going to be at a hypercharge much more often than otherwise. So that is another reason why you want to bring out the Max for those synergistic attributes. We are going to go into set number 3. Comeback and Dame Paleta have claimed 1 apiece so far.
Yep, and we're all going to be watching this blue star as we get into this game. The help of the lollipop drop speed boost is going to allow Comeback to grab that blue star, so Gibson is going to have that on his head. Going to have to play a little bit less aggressive now that he does have that tiebreaker star, but all things considered, that's pretty much exactly what they wanted from this first interaction.
Yeah, great stuff from them. They're keeping their range as well, but they're going to be pressured a lot, so they need to ensure that they don't get pushed back all that much, and that's kind of what's happening a little bit. But just look at the amount of speed that every member on that team is getting just because of that lollipop drop. That being said, they're being completely pushed away all across the map.
Yeah, it's so interesting watching the strategies here. Both of these comps do kind of thrive when they're all playing together. We're going to see Ren using his Naughty Head as a wall break rather than any type of damage, which I do think makes sense. He's not going to be able to one-shot any of these guys, so just trying to mold the map to the way that they like to see it. Sky does have his max speed online, so waiting to see if he's going to pop that onto his teammates. He did get tagged by Byron, so opting to wait for a little bit longer.
They want to be up to full, but unfortunately with Ben getting double tapped almost, it's not really the best spot for them to move in here. It's just Max with the hypercharge gives me a little bit of pause.
Yep, they're going to have to pop that pretty soon here. 45 seconds left. No kills have happened yet, which is unfortunately about what we expected with the way that these comps are shaping out. But here comes the Buster Shield, opting to save the hyper for the final push of the game. They do take a little bit of positioning. Comeback are all grouped up together in this bottom left corner, but they still got the lead.
It's a very cagey map, and I feel like tensions are at an all-time high. 26 seconds left, and they have to be concerted about how they're going about doing this one.
Yeah, Gibson's going to throw the lollipop drop up there, so it looks like Comeback will probably be regrouping on the top left side of the map. Either way, final 15 seconds. There goes the Byron Splash, getting Gibson a little bit weak, but the max speed is there. The Buster Hypercharge Shield, and now Nani is left by herself in the bottom left corner. Are they going to be able to catch up to her before this clock runs out? They are, and the other two members of the team are out of position. That is going to be unfortunate. They escaped to the top left, but they just left one of their teammates behind, and that ended up being the difference there.
Yeah, I mean, they completely collapse on it like an amoeba, you know, like just going in and taking that food and engulfing it. So that was definitely just miscommunication, right? If they all talked about, okay, we move up, and they would have avoided that. But unfortunately for them, it wasn't the case. Very great start, though. I saw the vision.
Yeah, I feel like when Gibson put his lollipop drop in the top left, that was kind of the sign that that was where their escape route was. But it looks like Ren just did not get the last ticket out of the station. So we'll have to see how the end game goes here. Obviously, I'm expecting a little bit more of the same as we were in the beginning portion of this game. Comeback gets the blue star. Dame Paleta charges up Buster Hyper. Probably not going to be a whole lot else happening besides that.
Indeed, Max already gets a super, but that should be pretty expected considering the fact that he's a Buster. But so far, it's a little bit of the same. Both teams trying to, you know, get their abilities online, get all of their supers, hypercharges, and whatnot. And it's just going to be a little bit of that poke battle.
Yep. I don't think we saw Gibson get a Leon hypercharge last game, so I feel like Dame Paleta has done a great job of kind of forcing him out, making sure he doesn't get too much free supercharge, because that is a hyper that can definitely change the tides of the final interaction. So Gibson's going to have to work on charging that up a little bit more. Ren is going in with the Nani head. Instead of breaking the wall this time, he does opt just to get a little bit of damage on Max, but it's going to be quickly canceled out by the Byron heals. I'm not really sure if that was the best use of the head.
I think it makes sense, because if they take out the walls, then it's just like a straight path for the Maxim team to walk up, right? But if the walls are there, they have to walk around the walls. So maybe that was the idea in the strat.
Yeah, I guess both teams are pretty content leaving the walls up here. We're going to see Comeback grouping over a little bit more towards the right side, trying to poke out their opponents, but Reborn is going to be there to face this Nani one-on-one. Either way, I do like the strategy, and here comes the wall break. Max is going to pop a gadget, though, and surely Gibson's going to fall. Not quite yet. He's using the speed star power, in fact, actually to escape out here. I'm not sure if he's going to go for a kill of his own. He is not quite yet. He's going to play the lollipop drop instead. 10 seconds remaining, and the entire roster of Comeback is stuck on the left side. But they are going to pop that super. They got a little bit of space. Why is Leon back here by himself, though? This is going to be a repeat of last game. They leave another teammate in the bottom left corner, and that is going to screw them over. Dame Paleta win both games in the exact same manner there, Panda.
Gibson, what are you doing? What are you doing, buddy? He has the sneaky title, too. That was not sneaky. Oh, my God.
That was definitely not the sneakiest play we've seen yet. I feel like that was literally just getting deja vu of game number 1. Once again, all of them stuck on the left side. 2 of them escape up. 1 of them escapes down and gets caught. So definitely a little bit of a lack of communication, perhaps. I think that's probably what I have to chalk it up to, because Comeback should have been able to win that one.
You know, honestly, like a lot of people might not like the sort of gameplay that we saw, but I like the KG poke battles, right? Because you got to see all those micro interactions and stuff like that. So it was generally a really well played game on both sides till it wasn't. Yeah. Because what was happening?
That's a really unfortunate mistake to make in that situation. But yeah, I mean, you had a chance to adjust after game 1. They made the same. At least it wasn't the same person, I guess, getting caught in the corner. But I can't.
But this time, I feel like the escape path was like much larger than the last time. Like I felt like there was more of a leeway. Like I couldn't fault the Nani as much in the first game because like you would have made that split decision at that point in time, and if you don't have the comps for it, then you know it's a 50-50. But in this case, the guy had like a whole like 2-3 seconds along with the max speed and his gadget, and he decides to go down when his whole team is going up. I'm like,
yeah, they had every opportunity to escape there.
I'm not mad. I'm just like in pain. Like I'm in physical pain right now.
I would definitely be in physical pain too if I was a big fan of the Comeback roster here, but they're going to have their chance to come back. It's not over yet. First 1 to 3 sets, of course, is going to be our champion for match number 1, and we'll be moving into set number 4 soon, which should be Heist Safe Zone for the map. So one of the more popular heist maps in the game. I feel like it is probably the most default heist map that you could ask for. A lot of mid control is going to be important, but also those dive brawlers are really going to be what you got to keep your eyes out for. Chuck, Kaze, Melody, definitely going to be at the top of the meta.
Oh yeah, for sure. But we've also seen how bad Chuck can be played, so you gotta be careful with your strategies. You need to know exactly where your placement should be beforehand going into the map. And if you want to do those double hit whatever strategies, you gotta be careful about how you're doing this, because if you don't do it the right way, then you know you're gonna be putting your team in a backward position. But it's obviously understood that if you run a Chuck, you're not gonna be off to the best start in terms of getting damage on the objective, but then once your Chuck is set up, you start ramping up. So if you're the other team, you have to take a composition which is a little bit more for the objective and to dive in, because otherwise you're just not going to be able to take down Chuck.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of esports games where they kind of bait the other team into going with the Chuck, and then they just go a comp that has a little bit more damage than the Chuck. So if you're going to leave that Chuck on the safe, you just got to make sure you have more damage to be able to counter it out if you're not going to go with like a hard Chuck defense like a Cordelius or an Otis. So that's definitely a brawler that this meta is going to kind of revolve around. We have our bans coming through, though. It's going to be Ali the Alligator, Spike, Angelo, Chuck, and actually Spike and Angelo again. So the bow is going to be that first pick. We've got a lot of repeated bans here.
Yeah, that's going to give us a lot of different options on the table, which we otherwise wouldn't have had. But this is very interesting. I like the Bull. We've seen how good Bull can be. And we have Colette coming out. I believe Colette has got some buffs. And as a result, a lot more people feel, more comfortable running Colette now, because she isn't as underwhelming as she was in the past.
She has indeed got some buffs. I think she got a marginal buff to her damage on both like players. So like she has like a little higher of a percent damage dealt to players, as well as more damage dealt to inanimate objects, including that heist safe. So just pretty much a damage buff in all aspects. I don't really love her into bow, so I'm curious why they brought her out this early, but I guess that they're just trying to pre-counter out any tankier aggro that the other team might bring out. So not a hater of the pick, not a huge fan of the pick. Belle, on the other hand, I do really like in the bow.
Yeah, Belle's on this map is also really good, because when you put those traps down, you have no other option, because like Belle's gonna go in the straight path to move up, and you're gonna go the straight path to move down. So you just walk in on this trap. So I like that. The Charlie's going to be coming out. I like the Charlie because she has a lot of range, and then you know, if somebody gets a hypercharge, it's an immediate shutdown, especially specifically that Colette. But Charlie has to be very cognizant of the fact of how they're using that super, because you can miss it when Colette's rushing in, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. But if you hit it while Colette's mid super, that can be a really good way to take away some of the value. So I like that pick. I like the Melody too. I feel like as far as dive brawlers go that don't get countered out by Colette that hard, Melody's got to be the best one. We're going to see Dame Paleta going with that Penny last pick. So they are opting to not really have any dive brawlers. Obviously, they have the Colette for that like hypercharge damage if she's able to get onto the safe. But overall, Comeback have a little clearer of a path to the safe. Dame Paleta going to have to play for mid control.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like Melody is going to be the thorn in the side for Dame Paleta, as they say, Dame, Dame, Dame. But that's like a different language. That's Japanese.
Something like that. But we're getting into set number 4 now, guys.
Sorry.
Comeback needs to win this to drag this to a set number 5. Dame Paleta, on the other hand, going to be looking to close this out 3-1. We have the Bo and the Charlie occupying the mid against a Colette and a Belle, with Max trying to get his first turret to throw it up against those unbreakable walls and get some free damage onto the safe.
Oh. Yeah, Sky getting tagged up a little bit too much, so a lot of the control that they have might just evaporate slowly. Gisbin's job is to get his super and then, you know, jump on the safe whenever he can. And we already see the traps by Colette all around the safe, so you know, that's going to be a little bit of a problem. Sky is still getting tagged up pretty consistently.
Yeah, I'm noticing that it's going to be tough for Gibson to charge up supers in this game because Dame Paleta did not choose to take any aggro brawlers. They really don't have anybody who's going to be getting outranged by Gibson, so he's going to take some time to get to that first dash. Once he gets that, he's going to have to work on cycling it pretty well. So far, though, we're a pretty good portion of this game through, and he does not have a Melody dash yet.
Yeah, that is actually kind of crazy. Max is going to be putting down his super, the Penny one, on the back lines, and they get the kill on the Sky. I feel like they have the number in Sky. I mean, you have two people just targeting Sky the entire time. Dame Paleta coalescing and making sure that they take out Comeback one after the other.
It's going to be a lot of damage from that Colette Super 2. Surely they are going to be close to cracking this high safe. The help of the Penny turret is going to secure that. I don't even think Dame Paleta has had a member of their team die in this game so far. It seems like the outrange mid-control strategy is working out very well. The bow tripwire almost connects onto Max, but he's barely going to be able to get out of that. Gibson does have his Melody dash finally, though.
But Big Gibson goes down, and look at the number of bear traps down by Colette there. Trick also has another super for the Melody in case he wants to just jump in. I feel like Dame Paleta have all their bases covered in this one.
Yeah, their comp is looking really solid. Ren does connect the hypercharged Charlie Cocoon, but that's not really going to do anything for them. The turret's still alive. Max has a hypercharged turret in the pocket should he need to play it as well. Reborn's just playing a little bit of mid. There's so many bell traps around this safe. I feel bad for Gibson. Even if he does get a dash, he's going to be hitting multiple of those traps.
Oh my god, there's just a domination, and the fact that the Penny turret has never been destroyed by Comeback is crazy because it's only been Dame Paleta putting it down. Hypercharge comes down to add insult to injury, and that is basically game here.
Yeah, with the way that the new heist change works, there is literally nothing that Comeback can do to come back in this game. That is going to be GG's, and 100% on the safe, maybe one tap. All right, 98% just for the ego right there. But overall, super dominant game from Dame Paleta. Their draft was very interesting. I do feel like it was early for the Colette, but at the same time, if you outrange the other team's aggro, they're not going to be able to get supers, and that seems like the strategy that's working out for them.
Yeah, and I feel like they've also identified that Sky is the person who moves the most predictably, so they are getting those pinches on Sky, which they shouldn't be getting because Bo is... it's one of those brawlers which is annoying because it hits you when you don't expect it because of the explosion damage, right? So the fact that Sky's getting diffed in those matchups is crazy. We're going to go into game number 2 here. Dame Paleta are on match point against Comeback.
Yeah, I'm also really intrigued by the loadout that Sky chose to go into this game with. He is on Tripwire instead of the Supercharged Totem, which I feel like would be helpful to both of his teammates, especially considering how little Melody dashes we saw. Now Gibson has a first chance to finally get onto the safe. It's only for 7%, but still, after being shut out completely last game, that's got to feel somewhat good, right, Pan?
Yeah, I mean, they get something in, and it's like a morsel, I'll be honest here, as Max gets his super down, and again we're going to see that annoyance of Max here. This guy just walking up and just allowing people to take him out repeatedly. There is a lead though for Comeback, but I feel like this is going to be albeit very, very soon.
Yeah, especially with that penny turret in position, locked onto the safe. Bo does have the angle, but Max is going to be able to set it up in a little bit more of a safe location. It will take a little bit of time for it to lock back onto the safe, but still things are looking pretty good for Dame Paleta. Gibson does have his dash, though, so they're going to have to play a little bit of defense. He's going to choose to do one of them right there, and now he's going to see if he can get up onto the safe, but Reborn's going to be there to shut it down.
Reborn has hypercharge as well, so like one hypercharge there is basically going to give them the entirety of the next pop. So I think that they want to prioritize a pop, and they have. And I don't. That was a turn pop. They're going in with the hypercharge. Hey, it's popped again. Wow.
Yeah, that's that Colette hyper is probably the quickest way to crack the high safe, but we are going to see Melody being able to get that down to 75%, so not too big of a gap compared to the last game. Still, things are looking really good for Dame Paleta. Max has his hypercharge turret for the defensive end if he should choose to use it. Seems like he's willing to hold on for it for now, though.
Yeah, it's not been going good for comeback though, but they are now only trailing by a one pop, so maybe they can get something going. This is a pretty good cocoon as well coming in. Can they get the kill on a Max? So that is the question. And I feel like Gideon's going to try to farm Max, but we have that gadget there. And finally they get a kill on a Max, but he gets taken down. And lots of damage being rained in here.
Wow.
Oh my god, the safe pop as well.
And I guess that's why we go tripwire for that play and that play alone. That's going to be about 50% dealt in about 10 seconds right there from Sky, and pretty much just Sky. That should be enough for comeback to secure this victory. Even with the Penny hypercharge turret, they still have one crack lead over them, so that's going to be game over. Really well played by comeback. They need the cards to kind of fall in their direction, but once they do, they can get a lot of damage really quickly.
I mean, this just goes to show sometimes you got to risk it to get the biscuit, and they were playing a little bit more cavalier, but this time Sky dodged a little bit more, and I felt like we had Dame Paleta being a little less conscientious about their positioning.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we saw Gibson getting dashes way earlier in game number 2 than in game number 1. I feel like that is still the thing to watch, even though most of the damage came through from Sky. I feel like Gibson kind of has to get supers to clear out the room for Sky to get up onto the safe in the first place. So we're going to see if Gibson's going to be able to charge up supers. So far, not so good for him, though. Reborn's got his number here on the left.
Gibson still trying to get that super there, not able to do so. I feel like Ren and Sky should be trying to pinch Max around that box, but they haven't been doing that. I feel like Max has been getting so much more value than he ought to get.
Yeah, and Gibson spent most of this game just hiding in this top left corner here, not really doing too much, so curious how that's going to go for them. So far, Comeback does have decent positioning, a little bit of a wasted super there by Reborn. Although Dame Paleta does have a pretty good defensive positioning here, that Cocoon is going to do a lot to clear it out. Max might end up falling to Ren here. This is going to be a huge kill to secure on the right. Reborn does secure it. Gibson's going to get a little bit of damage, but all things considered, it shouldn't be a crack.
Yeah, but this time they get it 19% before the other team, which is much better than any of the other times that they played. Max is going to be putting down his super, and this time they're trying to address it as fast as possible, but the markup from Sky is going to be putting a damper on Comeback's defensive efforts.
Yeah, this is really good positioning for Dame Paleta. They've got the turret, they've got the guy marked that they want marked. Max is going to be able to get a little bit of splash damage too. Gibson is trying to play a little bit aggressive here, but he's going to back off for the time. The Charlie Cocoon does miss, but that slow is still going to bother Max a little bit. But with Ren at one shot, it seems like it's all positioning for Dame Paleta. Reborn's got that super if he chooses to go up too.
Yeah, I feel like Reborn should go cross-platform and try to take out Max whenever Max gets a super, because I feel like that would be more beneficial, because it seems like the Penny turret is doing much more harm than anything else on the map.
Yeah, definitely. This game is really close so far, but Reborn is in position to get a hypercharge whenever he chooses to do so. He's going to hold on to the hyper for now and just use the super, hoping he can charge it back up in due time. Gibson is going to fall, and Max is going to put that hypercharge turret down. It will surely be dealt with the tripwire. Indeed it is, and Max is actually going to get stunned up too, so a little bit of room for comeback to maneuver with Gibson.
Yeah, I think they realize that the Penny is the biggest problem there, so put all your resources towards Penny and you might have a more even game, but only 13 seconds left here, so that's not good. Reborn also has a hypercharge that he can use. He goes for the hypercharge, is able to connect, and that is going to be Dame Paleta taking this one, unless we have something in the next 3 seconds. There is no tripwire. There is no hope.
If Sky was able to stay alive, there's a chance that tripwire could have clutched up for them. I'm not going to pretend like I know the math exactly, but that game was honestly incredibly close. After seeing the way game 1 went, I'm surprised that Comeback was able to make it that tight, but overall, Dame Paleta is going to do enough to secure that victory, 3-1 over Comeback, and they are currently in the driver's seat for that ticket out of Group D, so congratulations to Dame Paleta. Well played to Comeback as well. Really competitive, pretty even set, from my opinion.
Yeah, I feel like these teams are very evenly matched, so I'm waiting to see that their rematch later on. Just looking at the stats that we have across the board, 29 kills by Trick over there for Dami Paleta. It really showcases how oppressive he was, and honestly, I would say across the board you have pretty decent stats. I can't really fault most of the teams. Maybe Carlos and Ale probably shouldn't have died as much, but still though it was pretty close.
Yeah, it's always tough to make too many inferences from these stats when it's across 4 different sets with 4 different brawlers. But obviously, if you go like some of those more aggro brawlers, your KD is going to suffer a little bit. But overall, every member of Dame Paleta being positive kind of shows you what you need to see. They were able to win those 1v1s. They were able to hold control for a much wider portion of the game than their opponents. And that's going to be a lot of the reason that they're going to walk out of this with a victory already.
Yeah, I mean, they were at least able to keep cool in those important times when they needed to. So that was pretty nice. And I'm looking forward to seeing how they play. But right now, Dame Paleta, hot off their victory, are going to be facing off against Capiata FC, I believe.
Yep, indeed they are. Indeed they are. And they've already got 1 victory. So going 2-0 to start with the first 2 matches would definitely be massive for them. That would put them comfortably in the driver's seat that they're already in to make it out of Group D. But they're going to have to fight through Capiata FC, our Paraguay roster. And we are going to be starting it off very soon here with open business for our first set. So I'm excited about that. Should be a pretty fun map. And we'll have to see which of these teams is going to come out on top.
Yeah. I believe if you aren't aware, Dame Paleta we just saw them, Reborn, Trick, and Max, and then Capiata FC have Chuck Oxidized. Yes, I got it this time. Zombie Killer and Yam Profi. All of these guys are from Paraguay, and this is our first Paraguayan squad, so this is awesome.
Yeah, no, first chance to get a look at a new country in Brawl Stars. I've personally never seen any player from this region, so I'm excited to see what they're going to bring to the table. We've seen a lot of Argentina, we've seen a lot of Peru, we've seen a lot of Chile, so now we're going to get Paraguay a chance to shine in this Road to Brawl Cup for South America West. We've talked about it before, but it's just really cool how this tournament gives these teams a chance to play on a little bit more fair of grounds than the South American monthly finals and whatnot, considering that server is in Brazil and these teams are a little bit further away from that. But Panda, could you give us a little bit more insight into why we have this South America West tourney specifically?
Yeah, so what happens with competitive is that you need to be closer to the server than not. Otherwise, what happens is whenever you interact with any person in the game, you have a lot of lag, because the further you are from the server, the more time it takes for your connections to hit the server and come back, right? So as a result, a lot of teams in South America West live far away from the East server, and a lot of the teams and countries are on the eastern side of this continent. So they made this tournament specifically to allow teams on the western side of South America West to have a more fair competitive experience. So they don't have as much lag. They will be on parity, and it's just a complete skill expression rather than them facing off against opponents with a substantial amount of latency.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think that's definitely really nice of the Brawl Stars esports scene to kind of give some of these teams a little bit of a better chance. I know in North America and EMEA, you have a lot of teams that will travel specifically for monthly finals just to try to limit that ping, limit that server difference as much as you physically can. So it's nice that they're kind of taking away the pressure to travel for every single monthly final, giving these teams a chance to play from their homes and just try to show that they are the best team in their specific sub-region. So I feel like it's a really fun setup. It's a really fun opportunity. And it's going to make Brawl Cup that much more special, even though it's already one of the best tournaments in esports.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be in Berlin in 2 months to see what the teams from here are going to showcase, right? So I'm really excited to see things that they're going to be doing, because I have seen some promising teams here, and I have seen teams improving over the course of the sets that they're playing itself. So
yeah,
it's not that, teams aren't competitive here. It's that they haven't been given the competitive opportunities to really showcase what they are all about. So it's nice to see that we have a competition that allows for it. So thank you to the tournament organizers. We're just casters. We're just we're here to talk about stuff, but it's all managed by other people, and the tournament admins and the tournament organizers, and I believe specifically for this one, Quantum Studios.
Yeah, and I've been having a really fun time watching kind of the evolution of Brawl Stars esports. We keep on adding more tournaments, more mid-season stuff, more third-party stuff that really just gives these teams more of a chance to shine. Obviously, most people have their eyes set on that BSC, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of other places to make a name for yourself, a lot of other places to kind of compile your highlights a little bit, maybe get yourself on some better rosters in the future. So the more tournaments, the better, in my opinion. Not just speaking as a caster who gets the opportunity to cast these awesome games, but it's fun for all the players too. They get a little bit more of a chance to make a name for themselves in the Brawl scene.
No, I mean, if you think about it, there is definitely a lot of demand to watch esports action. Not a lot of people know about esports, right? Which is why we have the monthly finals and it's like super advertising game in all the places, because we want people to experience esports. And then, after they've experienced it, they might want to either play it or watch it more often, right? But I've noticed that there is a big demand for watching esports, and specifically because if you look at Spuke, he's one of the biggest casters. I think he's one of the biggest Spanish casters in Brawl Stars, right? And he's one of the biggest Spanish content creators as well. And his whole thing that he's been doing the last year and a half has been reporting on scrims and like spectating scrims and watching scrims. And there are like thousands of people who tune in every single day just to watch the team scrim. It's not even a tournament. They just want to watch competitive play. So it definitely is a market for it. It's just that it's underserved, and as a result, we don't realize it. But when you see individual content creators go out of their way to put that on the map, then you realize the amount of actual interest that is there, which isn't really tapped into as much as it should be.
Yeah, and that's something that we've seen too with Brawl Stars putting a little bit more effort into making the monthly qualifiers a more pleasant watching experience. I know that you yourself are going to be working on streaming some of those qualifiers, as well as my buddy Ready Set in the North American region. He's been absolutely massive for helping people get used to the qualifier setup. So we've just been basically getting more esports, more Brawl Stars every single year, and I don't see a reason to stop so far. The first year in the partnership with Blast has been going incredibly well, and I feel like it's going to be the best World Finals that we've ever had, and I'm here for every second of it, man.
Yeah, I mean, Blast has been pretty good about the feedback. There were some issues in the first show, and then there were a lot of community feedbacks on what to improve, and then they incorporated that. And then the next segment, like in the next day, they incorporated all those changes, and they've made the fact that they listen to community feedback is really good. So I really like Blast for that. And honestly, I'm looking forward to seeing how things evolve, because the production is nice, and I feel like the fact that they have the casters at like a nice little studio and a booth, it feels like you're a part of something when you're watching it. So it's pretty fun. I don't know why we're yapping on random things, but I'm enjoying this.
Yeah, I mean, we're just waiting for our second match to get going here, so I guess we'll keep on filling the space however we can. But Capiata FC and Dame Paleta are going to be stepping up to the plate soon enough here. Like I said, our first set is going to be hot zoned. It is going to be open business. We've already got to see a couple of the buffies here today, but I feel like the buffy we've gotten to see the most recently has been Leon, which personally has surprised me. When I first got my look at the Brawl Talk, I did not really expect the Leon buffy to be at the top of the list, but so far throughout South America, it kind of has been.
Yeah, and Leon is also classically just a very popular brawler. It's pretty cool, right? And we're gonna have our first pick from Capiata, gonna be the Byron. So Byron's coming out. We have the bans are gonna be Crow, Spike, Ems. And on the other side, we have Mr. Finks, Bo, and BB. So the BB ban is expected. Our global bans being Pierce, Glowy.
Glowy.
Anyway, Glowy with intent. Kenji and Mortis.
Yeah, I feel like these bans make sense. I'm definitely not surprised to see Crow getting banned out, as well as obviously BB, Bo are three of the more broken buffies in the game. Finks has always been a pretty solid hot zone early pick. Byron is definitely something we haven't seen first picked on open business very often. Typically, you want a brawler with a little bit more HP and sustain on that zone. While Byron does have those heals, he is usually going to be giving those heals out to his teammates. So it's a little bit of an interesting pick, but it is nice that you're not going to get outranged too easily.
We got Poco coming out on the other side. Yeah, it's the first pick for Dame Paleta, so let's see what they try to compound this with. I feel like, if you go for the Poco, it should be obvious that the Frank is going to be coming out, because look at all the bans that we have. Oh, we have a Leon coming out instead. Still though, Capiata has to be very careful about the last pick from Dame Paleta. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, the Leon Poco is a very, very dangerous combination. Poco has been a pretty popular brawler. Like I said, you do want somebody with that sustain on the mid, and there's not that many brawlers with better sustainability than Poco. So I feel like that's a smart pick. Leon is going to be nice as well. With the use of that lollipop drop gadget, it's going to give his teammates additional speed. It's going to give them invisibility, of course. But a brawler like Hank isn't going to have to worry about that too much. He can shoot through and around walls, and he's going to have a lot of HP of his own, especially when paired up with a healer.
I like this Hank pick a lot. Classically on this map, when Hank was reworked, he was really broken. Remember when he got his hypercharge? That was a crazy time here. So I can see the vision coming in from Capieta.
Yeah, no, that Hank Hyper used to be disgusting. Luckily, they've tuned it down a little bit, but still a strong brawler, and that super does kind of provide him a little bit of insurance. If Dame Paleta does choose to go with a assassin or a tank that can kind of get up into his face, they're going to take the Charlie for their third and final brawler here, too. A pretty versatile option. She's got good defensive capabilities, can protect herself with that cocoon. Her spider gadget is going to be useful into the Leon, but not really going to do anything into the Poco. I feel like they might have been able to get a little bit of a better tank counter with an Otis, perhaps.
I do want to see a tank counter coming out. Oh, we have a bull coming out here. So a bull and a Charlie is a very interesting choice here. But I guess if the Charlie's preoccupied, then you know the bull's gonna get some work in. But like bull and a Frank, I still in a Hank, I still don't think that's the best matchup though.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, just like what I was saying with the Hank super, that's going to be something that's going to be able to give the Hank a lot of HP and just more survivability if the bull does choose to dash in on him. I feel like the Charlie counters out the bull pretty decently too, so not my favorite pick, even though I have been vouching for the bull all day. We'll see how it goes, though, as we get into set number 1 between Capiata FC and Dame Paleta.
I gotta say that Charlie is also a very interesting brawler for another fact, right? It can obviate your hypercharge. You would lose all the value from the hypercharge as soon as you get it. So you gotta be very careful about how you're going for that. They get the kill on a Chuck Oxidize, which is crazy. Now Reborn going to go on the other round. He gets killed on Guillaume Profi as well. Zombie Killer cocooning the bull and manages to stay alive for a little bit, but Trick is gonna be up to his own.
Yeah, Reborn's already getting so slimy on this Leon pick here. He gets his second assassination kill of the set already, and he's got to be getting close to a hypercharge at this point. Another lollipop drop gadget will be placed, but he's going to be farming that hyper off of Zombie Killer. Some really nice strafing to land as many of those bullets as he can. Charlie does choose to self-cocoon and is actually going to be able to get that kill, so a little bit of a break coming out here for Capiata. They're going to have their first lick of control, but Max and Trick are going to be trying to prevent that from happening.
Ooh, nice coalescence. Oh no, Reborn with the hypercharge again gets killed on Chalk Oxidize, not able to get Zombie Killer because of that super coming in, but now Max is gonna go in. There's a cocoon being used by Zombie Killer on himself, but gets taken out almost immediately. Max on a tear, goes on a Gambro fight, gets a kill as well, gets a kill on Chalk Oxidize, and a complete team wipe from Dame Paleta.
They're going to have to get an insane comeback going here for Capiata if they're going to want to win this. Down by 40%, and that zone keeps ticking closer to 100. Chalk Oxidize is going to have to try to clear out some room here with that Hank super. He does connect it. They do get the cocoon off as well. So both members staying strong, but only 5% separate Dame Paleta from victory.
Yeah, it's pretty close, and now the bull's going in with his hypercharge. He's going to be able to get the kill on the Chalk Oxidize. He's on a tear. He's on a mission. And Dame Paleta get the game number 1. Wow, that was beautiful to see. When Bull popped off, he really popped off.
That seems like the way that Bull is going to be played. Like, sometimes your matchups are just going to be too bad, but if you can start to chain together some of those supers, get a hypercharge in the mix, you can definitely have a big impact. I feel like the draft just is not looking the greatest for Capiata, but if they are going to win this, they're going to have to counter out Reborn on the Leon. Reborn was able to get way too much value in the beginning of that game, and that definitely caused a lot of problems for Capiata, so that's going to be the member I have my eyes on.
Yeah, it's mostly because of Reborn. He's been cheating his supers and getting so much of value. Again, he's going up against Zombie Killer, who just gets taken out again by Reborn and Max. So complete control from Dame Paleta at 25%.
Yeah, this is definitely a pretty similar start to what they had last game. Trick is going to be trying to keep his teammates nice and juiced up here, but Reborn's invisible, and he is going to catch Zombie Killer again. He pops another super, and he's going for Guillaume Profi, and now Chalk Oxidize is the lone member, but Reborn is a man on a mission right here. He has gotten so many kills in this set. He is absolutely terrorizing them with these new Leon buffies.
Hypercharge Max going in. He's able to get the kill on a Chalk Oxidize despite the catch in the super. Another kill on a Guillaume Profi. The heals are going to also be there from Taco. They're not Taco Strix.
Yeah, but Reborn's got Leon Hyper. He's going to go for Zombie Killer. He is quickly dealt with the Cocoon, which is going to waste his Hypercharge a little bit, but I don't think he's going to be too worried about that. His teammates are still on the zone. Zombie Killer's going to be the next to fall. Guillaume Profi is the only one left, but
wow,
he's on that Byron. He's not going to have the most HP. Chalk Oxidize is going to try to do what he can, but that is going to be our first set going to Dame Paleta, who are looking very dominant in Group D so far.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie, that bull pick was kind of tough. Like, I didn't expect it to be that good. Like, I knew he's gonna be good, right? But into the composition that he was facing, which is basically Byron Hank. Obviously, Byron isn't as great as healing as Poco is, but like the Hank is still a really good brawler. And the fact that, you know, Bull was able to keep on rushing into Hank repeatedly over and over again, maybe Bull is actually much better than I originally thought. That super charge rate might not be as big of an issue if he's going to be taking a lot of damage and it's going to be reduced and he gets healed up anyway, so then you get it super again. So there are lots of new interactions that you got to think about, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems like I did see a decent amount of value coming out from that tough guy star power buffy for the Bull as well, but obviously I think the MVP of that match has to be Reborn on the Leon there. He was just terrorizing the enemy team the entire time. Getting your super that early on Leon is so important because it allows you to cycle towards your second super much quicker. You're able to get that assassination, recharge most of your super, and then at that point you might as well just have a hypercharge, which is one of the more broken hypers in the game. So really good job cycling on the Leon. I feel like that was the difference maker.
Oh, 100%. Like, I feel like the Leon was the MVP. The reason I'm glazing Bull is because I didn't expect it to be as good. Yeah. But don't get it wrong. Like, Reborn was definitely the MVP who kept the whole game going. And obviously, we can't really, you know, not talk about Poco because, you know, Poco, you don't think about it that much, but all of those decapos come in clutch a lot, right? Along with those heals and that overshield which you get with the hypercharge. Imagine what's gonna happen when Poco gets buffies, man.
I don't even want to think about that, Panda. Thank you for putting that thought in my head. But overall, yeah, no, it was a really good draft. I feel like all three brawlers that Dame Paleta chose to bring out synergized really well together, and they were just able to get some of those squad wipes when they needed them. Leon was able to pick off a single kill when they needed him to, so it was just a really clean matchup. Dame Paleta's looking dominant, but we've got set number 2, Panda, on Deathcap Trap.
Deathcap Trap, nice jam grab map, and you have a lot of walls with a good distribution of grass as well. So there are lots of different strategies that you can use here. Spike is going to be brought out here. Dame Paleta banning out the Leon is a very interesting choice. We have the other bans being Lily, along with Bull, BB on the other side, expected, along with Mina and Bull, and the bans being Glowy, along with Pierce, Kenji, and Mortis. So the first pick from Capiata going to be a Gus in response to the Spike on the other side.
Yeah, we've seen Gus come off the board pretty early in a lot of these gem grab sets. He hasn't been quite as popular in Bounty and Knockout as he used to be, but in gem grab, he is one of the more preferred mids. I think mostly because he has that shield to protect him against any aggression. Obviously, a lot of the aggros have been banned out. No Leon, no Lily, no Bull, no Kenji, no Mortis, but still, I feel like that protection is going to be nice to have, as well as being able to support your teammates if necessary.
Oh yeah, this is the support that you can get with Gus is crazy. And then now we have Crow, which has the buffies, right? And Crow is so good at area denial because of the anti-heal that he has. He's a lot stronger with his buffies and his hypercharge as well. It just makes him that much more of a threat. So I like this Crow pick, especially on a mode such as gem grab, where you need to keep control as long as possible of the mid. The anti-heal and the poison is such a good deterrent.
Yeah, and not only is he great for holding mid control, but he can also be great for getting that last second reset. If he gets that jump, hypercharge jump or not, he can still get a reset on a gem carrier. It looks like the gem carrier will be Byron for Dame Paleta. Seeing a lot more Byron than I expected to already today, but two pretty squishy brawlers coming out. No aggros from either team yet. I'm curious to see which they're going to go with the third pick.
I still feel like Byron is being overrated based off of what we saw in a few minutes ago, where he was kind of disgusting and broken. It's not that Byron has, is useless or anything. It's just that I feel like he's fallen off a little bit. And Dame Paleta going for another buffy brawler that we talked about at the start of the presentation today. It's going to be Nita. And I have my reservations because I don't think Nita is as good as some people might think. So maybe on lanes with that cap trap, you have the ability to wall peek a little bit better. That could be a possibility.
You can definitely get a lot of value from Nita once she gets set up in the opposing bushes. The hard part is going to be getting her there against the Gus and a Crow who have the range advantage. So it could definitely work out. I could definitely end up eating my words. I'm not the biggest fan of the Nita pick, though. I think it is going to be hard to get that positioning. A Byron on your team can certainly help you out, but the Carl is going to come out as the final pick for Capiata FC. I feel like that's a pretty decent hybrid for aggression and mid control. I think it does kind of address everything that they needed to address. The Pierce is going to be good for both Spike Cactuses and Nita Bears.
Indeed. The Carl is also pretty decent for the fact that it can, burst through, not burst through, but pierce through Nita. So the bear is not going to be as good of a mark there. But I feel like, Nita can still handle herself by, swapping lanes and stuff. So lane swaps are going to be very important. Reborn has to hit those shots, because if he misses a few shots, then it's going to be a little bit of a problem, because there is anti-heal on the other side as well.
Yep, and it looks like we're going to have, actually Chalk Oxidized looks like he won't be playing the mid here, so maybe Guillaume Profi is going to be picking up those gems. So far, they're just going to have to focus on getting Max out of these bushes, though. Nita's already trying to get a lot of positioning, and Guillaume Profi is really not in the greatest of spots to try to keep that from happening, so Max is going to get a lot of hits for his bear here.
Chuck Oxidai is being pushed back, as is Gam Profi, and Max is able to keep a lot of pressure and control. 5 gems already being picked up by Dame Paleta. At this stage, is kind of crazy. There is that super from Trick, but he gets taken out by Zombie Killer, and now we finally see Capiata claim a little bit more control of this mid.
Still so many gems in the advantage for Dame Paleta, though. I feel like Max has been giving them so many issues just by existing on this wall right here. They're trying to get a little bit of a pinch, but Reborn is there with the heals every time Max falls low, with or without the Crow anti-heal. I mean, the Byron hits are still going to help out a little bit. Chalk Oxidized, very weak as well. Still on 0 gems. This has been all Dame Paleta so far, Ben.
Yeah, it seems like Dame Paleta just have like a literal wall against their opponents right now in the opposition. There is that super being used by Char Oxidized, but to add insult to injury, we have that hypercharged super coming in from Reborn, and the entirety of the team of Dame Paleta just being so oppressive. Capiata had no chance.
Yeah, Dame Paleta is definitely feeling themselves after that one. They are on a pretty nasty winning streak here. I think they dropped the first one to come back and have since won 4 sets in a row, looking to extend that to 5 sets in a row if they're able to pull it out here. But so far, seems like the Byron pick was working out well. The Nita pick definitely did more work than we expected it to, but I feel like a lot of that is just because she was able to get free positioning on that wall. If they're able to keep her from getting to that wall, it might be a different story.
Yeah, if you lose control with Nita on this map, it's just very hard to claw it back here. So they have to be careful about how they're going about this one. Yes, it seems like this is a much better start.
Yes.
Though Reborn is able to pick up one more gem. Zombie Killer in a very aggressive position. I think they're a little bit desperate actually after the first game.
I definitely like the strategy change from Guillaume Profi to go up far right to keep Max from getting set up there. That is going to result in a trade, which is, all things considered, not the worst for Capiata FC here. Regardless, still going to be a massive gem lead for Dame Paleta, but Guillaume Profi is going to have to really focus on keeping Nita out.
Yeah, and I really like the fact that, with the spike gadget, you can actually help Reborn take a few more shots than necessary. It makes it much harder for Char Oxidized to compete in the mid. There's going to be a kill on Trick from Zombie Killer. Max has a super, could use it. Uses it against Zombie Killer here. The stun is going to be confirmed as well. Zombie Killer pops his gadget, but gets taken out.
Yeah, we do see the first Nita Bear coming through for Max, though. Even though he got good positioning, he didn't really get a super last game. That is going to be pinching Capiata FC back incredibly well. Chalk Oxidized trying to do what he can, but he is getting converged on by all 3 members of Dame Paleta. They're going to get those 2 gems. That is going to start the countdown, but Max has to stay alive with this second one.
We finally get hypercharge from Max here, and I feel like this is just a symptom of the fact that Capiata FC allowed it to happen. I don't feel like Max should be able to be getting super as often as he has, or at all, in fact, against the composition that he's facing.
Yeah, but that was just dominant positioning, dominant communication, and a dominant set for Dame Paleta. They are going to take 5 sets in a row now, 2 sets over Capiata FC. Things are looking really good for them. They were already in the driver's seat to make it out of Group D, and with a 3-0 sweep over Capiata, that would definitely be getting closer to reality. So Capiata needs to lock in right here. They need to try to figure out what's going wrong and stop Dame Paleta in their tracks before they run away with this group.
Yeah, seeing the games that we've seen so far, it seems like Dame Paleta is at a class above some of the other teams, but Comeback seems to be the team which can actually compete against Dame Paleta. I feel like CFC, in the draft itself, they've been making some questionable decisions sometimes, and even if they do get a better draft than they expect, they don't play it to the way that it should be played. I don't think that Dame Paleta should have been as oppressive on this map. There were so many times where they gave up very, very important positions on the map, which allowed for them to, get those dubs because it started snowballing. Once you lose control on a map like this, it's so hard to get back.
Yeah, something that we've talked about with Deathcap Trap specifically throughout our first 3 days too is that the Colonel Ruffs has been one of the most popular picks because of his ability to break open walls. That wall that we saw Max hiding behind on the Nita the entire time, that usually is the wall that the Ruffs breaks first, so I feel like a little bit of wall break might have went a long way for them. Either way, nobody chose to pick up the dog, and that's kind of the game that you see when there is no map break. You're just going to get a little bit trapped in your own spawn.
Yeah, I feel like, the Carl pick is like a very conventional pick for Carl. It's like, it's like a shallow strategy. You're like, okay, Carl pierces, it goes through Nita, so obviously it's a good brawler for that. But like all the other synergistic attributes aren't really there for it. It doesn't help out the team more than that specifically. Where you mentioned the dog, right? Ruff specifically, not only does it break walls, it also has the sandbags. It also has the fact that you can give treats, the hypercharged treats as well. So there are lots of reasons why you want to run Ruffs, not just for the amount of damage that he can output. I feel like Ruffs is not rated as highly as it should be in general, right? Because I'm in the Ruffs propaganda department here.
Yeah, I mean, he is like a popular brawler, but I think you can make the argument that he should be even more popular.
Exactly.
I think that's definitely a brawler that EMEA and NA take full advantage of. I feel like those two regions specifically love spamming out the dog. Haven't seen as much of him in South America except for on Deathcap Trap specifically, but I think that he definitely is a low S tier to high A tier brawler who is probably one of the better ones without a Buffy.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. And we're gonna be going into Pinhole Punt now, which is a Brawl Ball map, and it's a lot. It's very grassy and all of that. But the thing is, a lot of the times when we've seen Pinhole Punt, the drafts have been completely one-sided, so we actually haven't seen Pinhole Punt. So hopefully this time we have a much more even game.
Yeah, I think that this is one of the maps where it can definitely get away from you. I mean, Brawl Ball can be a pretty fast-paced game mode in general, but specifically Pinhole Punt, it's a map that's very well suited for some of these new buffied brawlers. It was already a great Crow map. It was already a pretty decent Bow map, already a decent Nita map. Obviously, BB is going to be a menace who probably will get banned, but regardless, I think that some of those brawlers can definitely make a huge impact here. We finally have our bans coming in, though. It's going to be Crow, Spike, Mina, Ems, and BB, so a lot of the brawlers I mentioned are going to get banned out, but there's still a couple good ones left.
Yeah, you have the anti-heal here. Oh, Bo is going to come out. We've seen how good Bo can be. So, but you got to be careful about what you're using. You don't use tripwire if you don't need it. Use the passive, the totem. Sorry, I can't even think because I'm so excited. Use the totem when you need it. Use the tripwire when you need it. Don't try to force things if your composition cannot use it to its effectiveness, right? So they have to be more strategic with how they're using. Good brawler, but use it right. Max coming out for Dame Paleta. It's a good brawler.
Yeah, I have to imagine that Bo will surely rock with the Supercharged Totem. It's one of the better maps for it. You just throw it behind that wall and allow your teammates to all get value out of it. I'd be shocked to see Tripwire, but we've seen some baffling decisions so far already, so I won't put it past them. Leon coming out with the Max once again. We've already seen the synergy that these two brawlers have together, and I am definitely excited to see more of where that came from. Similarly to the Bo Totem, the Leon Totem going to get a little bit of extra value on a map shaped like this, but that Frank's going to come in to try to destroy a little bit of the map.
Opening up the map will make it a little bit easier for Bo to get those shots in and to find out where everybody is. Not only do you get wall break, you get the grass break as well. And we also have the Mo coming out, and I feel like Mo is a nice pick to have along with the Frank because otherwise you would be facing off against the Mo, so it denies the Mo from the other side. And Mo is just generally a good brawler to keep control on a map such as this one where there are specific sites because of how its projectile works.
Yeah, I do really like the Mo. I feel like Mo is also one of the more popular Frank counters, so by Capiata taking that Mo, they're eliminating the ability of Dame Paleta to counter out their Frank. So I think that's a good amount of the reason why they're choosing to go with that strategy. Not a huge fan of Mo into Leon. He does not have the range advantage there, so might end up feeding a couple more Leon supers than they should otherwise get. Dame Paleta have one last pick here, and it's going to be a Shelly, so very clearly taking that to address the Frank, but not the best of matchups into Bo and Mo.
Yeah, it's going to be a very difficult thing because you have to have the right matchups, and that means you have to swap lanes more often than not. But the question is the lane swap going to be as beneficial to you or not is the more important thing. Like, would you want the lane swap where you do lose a little bit of control during that swap or not? I don't know. We're going to go to set number 3, and this is very important for Capiata FC because if they lose this one, Dame Paleta win it.
Yep, exactly. And they're already going to be taking a lot of positioning here. Trick is going to be getting slimy on that Leon. We saw Reborn go crazy on the Leon, but he's just going to be lag walking on the Max in the middle instead, giving Trick a chance to have some fun here. Zombie Killer, the lone member of Capiata FC, remaining up. It's going to be full mid control for Dame Paleta. They group up for this max speed, and this could be a lot of pressure.
Oh yeah, for sure. Ball going to be moved up to Max here. Yeah, Profi does manage to dispatch it, and now Trick is going to be trying to get a little bit of value move out of the way there just to keep alive, and this allows them to keep a little bit more control. Chalk Oxidized has the super, so that is something that Dame Paleta have to be careful about.
Yep, pretty clean defense right there. They've got to keep their distance, but Trick has that extra movement speed if he needs to get out from the Frank at a moment's notice. Chalk Oxidized getting himself caught out in a bad spot. He does hit the stun, but he's going to get quickly traded out.
Ooh.
And Trick is there with the ball and the angle, catching Capiata FC a little bit on their back heel right there. That was definitely a nice opportunity.
Yeah, bro lost a little bit of aura. It wasn't even a trick shot. Anyway, ball being passed by Trick there. Zombie Killer going in. He gets the kill on a Reborn, but he dies almost immediately. The Oxidized gets the ball here. Doesn't matter. Hypercharge coming in from Max. He gets the ball. He clears the ball. Whoa! That was crazy. Dame Paleta are able to lock this one in and get game number 1. Match point as well.
Yeah, match point coming quicker than we expected here. That Shelly super just used to blast through the wall once all things were done and dusted. That was nice to speed up the last seconds of that game right there. But overall, that Shelly pick has definitely come in clutch. We've seen that fast forward gadget making a resurgence in the meta, specifically to counter Frank. So I'm definitely not shocked that's the gadget we're seeing rocked with here. Overall, though, Dame Paleta have shown no signs of slowing down. There's the max dash, and it's not going to quite be able to take out Chalk Oxidized. So a little bit of room for Capiata. They might be able to force a goal through here.
Yeah, they're definitely trying phase shifter used by Reborn to get out of that situation there. Super is going to be used by Trick. Oh, Trick actually survives there. That's kind of crazy. Max has the ball. He also has the super. So he's going to be a big target, and he's also going to be a big threat here. Gian Profi is going to be putting down those mines, and oh, big super from Max finds its position, finds its mark. Delsock going to be used here by Chalk Oxidized, but Chalk Oxidized has the gadget to get out of that situation.
That anti-stun Frank gadget coming in very clutch for Capiata FC here. Going to be their saving grace as Chalk Oxidized tries to regen a little bit of his HP over here on the right side. He does have his hypercharge though, and that's a lot of HP and a lot of damage, but Max is going to be there with his hyper of his own. That's going to be a quick kill, and now Zombie Killer is going to be forced to dash back. Just Guillaume Profi left on defense. Is Trick going to be able to find the angle? He is. Really good team plays from Dame Paleta to get the ball into a scoring position.
Oh, that was some sauce there from Trick, and that was a very good team play. You got the speed, you got the ball being passed up. It was tiki-taka and lots of passes, and they got those kills there. Trick is a little low. He gets taken out. Hypercharge from Max. Reborn going to be moving in. Max gets the super off, gets taken out because of that gadget from Chalk Oxidized.
Yeah, a lot of pressure right there, but Frank's doing the best that he can to deal with the Shelly. Look at how many bow mines are in front of this goal right here, though. Capiata surely is going to be able to force this through. They're going to break every single wall that is available to them. That's going to be a nice goal, but they had to use a ton of utility for that, and Dame Paleta has max speed for reset.
Yeah, and if you look at Trick, he does have hypercharge, doesn't have the super just yet, and he's trying to find it. Chalk Oxidized on the right-hand side. He is getting the better of Max in some of those interactions there. Reborn is going to be in the Lollipop drop zone, dropped by Trick here.
Yep, and now Zombie Killer does have a pretty dominant position here. He's going to choose to go in with his drill right there. He is going to be taken out by Reborn, though, so that's a little bit of a squander right there. Capiata losing a little bit of value. Frank's super is going to be wasted, too. Max is there for the cleanup. There are some bow mines that Max might not be aware of, but the movement speed of Shelly is going to allow him to swing the rock over to Reborn. We got 10 seconds till these walls drop.
Max going in. Oh my god, he breaks their ankles, and just like that, Dame Paleta 3-0 clean sweep against Capiata FC in pure fashion, in pure style.
Incredibly pure right there. I'm not really sure how they found the angle right there, but I mean, they found it and they were able to take advantage of it. Overall, Dame Paleta playing incredibly clean Brawl Stars today. Their drafts have been on point. Their communication and synergy has been on point, and they look like they are definitely the most dominant team in Group D so far. They haven't secured it quite yet, but they are very clearly in the driver's seat here as we take a look at the stats.
Yeah, it's just like pure dominance coming from Dame Paleta. Yes, there have, a lot of deaths or something, but it's not indicative of how oppressive the gameplay is coming in from Dame Paleta. Like, look at Capiata FC. Trick, so many kills, right?
I think it's mixed up, Panda. I think that the Dame Paleta players are on the left and the Capiata players are on the right.
Ah, you're right. Well, shut up now.
No worries. But no, Trick did have some crazy stats. I'm not surprised to see that the team with the more kills and the
Mm.
less deaths was indeed the winner here. But yeah, 22 and 6 for Trick throughout our 3 games here. Absolutely insane. The damage numbers looking very even across the team too. So definitely a nice distribution of the labor for Dame Paleta right there. Really well played by them. Capiata, although they definitely played some solid Brawl Stars, not able to win a single game here. Can't feel good for them as they're about to be moving into their match against Comeback after this.
Yeah. Can't wait. But like this in this group, Dame Paleta are the most impressive team that we have. They are very clean in how they draft. They are very clean in most of their interactions. They know when to move in, they know when to move out. And the only times where things have gone wrong is either when all of the utilities are utilized from the other team, or it's just a complete brain fart and they've completely lost the plot for some reason, which is what happened in set number 1 against Comeback.
Yeah, no, it's definitely been a little bit all over the place, but they have locked in really hard since that first set loss. They've won 6 straight sets now. They're going to get a little bit of a break here, and we're going to have our next 2 teams coming up here. Once again, it is going to be Capiata FC versus Comeback. Both teams have yet to win a game, so we're going to take a quick break before we get into that, and then we'll be back for match number 3.
See you then. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Road to Brawl Cup South America West. I'm your host, Panic Ass, joined by the amazing Duncan Brawl Stars. I hope you're doing well, Duncan. What do you think of the matches that we've seen so far?
What I think so far is that Dame Paleta is a very strong team, and they definitely need to be taken seriously in this region. They have absolutely blown through their opponents so far after dropping their first set of the day to come back. They have rallied, winning 6 in a row. They are 2-0 throughout 2 matches. They do get to take a little bit of a break here, so they're going to have to see how their competition fares. We've got Comeback versus Capiata. Both teams in desperate need of a win right now.
Comeback and Capiata have not won a single one. Comeback, if you just need a little bit of a reminder, have Ram, Carlos, and Ale in the game. They might have some different IGNs. So not really remembering exactly what their IGNs are. But that is the team from Comeback. All of them are from Chile. They're going to be facing off against Capiata FC, which has Tarkoxidized, who we just saw, Zombie Killer, and Gamprify, all from Paraguay. And they're going to go up against Comeback. And I feel like Comeback is the team which is closest to Dame Paleta when it comes to the skill expression that we've seen so far. So it's going to be still an uphill battle for Capiata, just based off of what we see in the first 2 matches.
I would agree with that. I feel like Comeback was able to keep it a little bit more competitive with Dame Paleta, so they've got to be feeling decent about this matchup. Obviously, it's going to be a must-win for both teams. Whichever team drops this is going to be eliminated from the Road to Brawl Cup champion contention, so lots to play
Mhm.
for here. Definitely neither team want to be the first one from Group D to bite the dust, but sadly for us, one of these two teams is going to be eliminated after this, so these teams got to make sure that they're locking in, bringing out their best drafts and their best gameplay as we get into this next set.
Mhm. I mean, I'm just looking forward to seeing how these teams really cope with the situation that they're in right now. But I guess the good thing is that both of them are at parity in a way because they both lost 3 sets. But, Comeback has won 1 set over Dame Plata, whereas CFC have won none. So the first set is going to be Gold Arm Gulch, which is on Knockout. Then we go into Open Business, which is, Hot Zone. Hard Rock Mine is going to be the gem grab map. And if required, we move on a Pinhole Punt and then on a Hideout, which are Brawl Ball and Bounty, respectively.
Yep, starting on Gold Arm Gulch is definitely going to be interesting. One of the more communication-based maps that we have in our current competitive map rotation, I would have to say. There's a couple different ways you can attack this, whether you send all 3 of your teammates to the same lane to try to dominate one side of the map, or if you try to split up and try your luck in these one-on-one matchups. There's definitely a lot of merit to both strategies. A lot of it depends on which brawlers you take, but this is definitely one of the more interesting knockout maps because I feel like it's one that doesn't necessarily always make it into that final interaction, unlike a map like Bell's Rock.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I like Gold Arm Gulch because you have to use so much more strategy than otherwise in some of the other maps, and you gotta collaborate with your teammates, get those pinches off, and that's where it really comes down to some of those micro plays. But there are moments where you have some stinkier plays where it really depends on how you surprise the other opponent. And now with how good Leon is, you have to be good at figuring out where the sneaky dude is on the map. So it's either going to be banned out, right? Or it's going to be something that people decide to opt for instead.
Yeah, I mean, after seeing how much Dame Paleta has been abusing that Leon and the amount of success that they've been able to get from it, I have to imagine that Leon is going to be at the top of the banned/picked brawlers list for this matchup that we have coming up here. I personally would not want to leave the Leon open very much, but yeah, it seems like we are having a little bit of issues getting into this game, guys, so we'll try to fill the space here. Panda, what else we got to talk about?
Hey, we can talk about like the ladder changes that we've had in Brawl Stars, right? We have the new MMR system, and in the new MMR system, we don't exactly know all of the specifics, but a lot of people I felt like were complaining unfairly on day number 1 because they fundamentally don't understand how ELO systems work. And I think that, once we have maybe 2-3 weeks of gameplay where people actually play ladder, then you start getting people being put into the right ELO category that they're actually supposed to be in. And that's when matchmaking gets faster and it gets more fair and you find people at your skill level. Right now, I'm sure like you log in a game and suddenly you're facing Bobby BS and you're like, what the hell do I do? And nothing. You just have to suffer. You have to suffer for a little bit. We all have to suffer for like maybe a little bit. But I promise you that, well, I can't promise you, but based off of how ELO systems work is that after enough time's gone by, then it's going to be a lot more fair. You're not going to have as many issues. So that's something that I thought about. And what is interesting about it is that a lot of people are now coming back into Brawl Stars. I don't know if you've noticed this, Duncan. Have you looked at your friends list and seen how many people are online as of the update compared to before the update? It's like 3 to 4 times the amount. Like I have 90 people simultaneously online. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's definitely been awesome to see the comeback. I personally have a lot of friends who are kind of in that casual Supercell gamer territory who kind of bounce between Brawl Stars and Clash Royale depending on the year, and a lot of those people are back to Brawl Stars now. So as a Brawl creator, as somebody who loves the Brawl scene, it definitely gives me hope that we might be returning to peak Brawl Stars. I do think that I agree with you as far as the ladder change goes, though. I feel like it's definitely going to take a little bit of time to get used to, but once it really gets rolling, it should be awesome. And just in addition to that, I feel like I've seen a lot more content around ladder recently. I've seen a lot of people pushing prestiges for videos, for streams, and just the fact that it's interesting enough for creators to make content about already means that it's definitely a little bit better than its predecessor.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that in general, but I feel like when you have a new thing, there are lots of people who will try to make content on it regardless. So I'm talking about like after the hype dies down, I still feel like it's gonna be still something that people opt for because not only does this make records more attractive to push because you actually have something to push towards, where records are always supposed to, in my mind, be something that suddenly happens. You're like, oh wait, I got that. That's pretty cool. It's not something that you have to work towards specifically, right? Prestige is something that you have to work towards, and that's why I kind of like how prestige is actually gonna, in my opinion, make records better because you don't focus on records as much. So I think that is a pretty good thing. And in the next month, I believe, or in the next update, I'm not 100% sure, but based off of what we heard in the podcast, they did mention that we're going to go into ranked changes, right?
Yeah.
And that means that in 2 or 3 updates back to back to back, we are not going to, I don't know about the next one, if we have a collab or not, but we haven't had collabs. We've had only things that the devs have worked on for long-term growth of the game. So there are lots of good things that I feel have been happening in Brawl Stars, and having ranked next month is going to be something that I'm looking forward to. Sorry about the yap.
Yeah, no problem. Last thing I'll say about that is I feel like it has kind of shown that the Brawl Stars development team is taking a deeper look at some of these more competitive aspects of the game, which a lot of longtime players have been a little bit annoyed that they've kind of been tailoring the updates for newer players. But that's enough about the update, guys. We'll go into our first set here on Knockout Gold Arm Gulch. The global bans for Comeback are Mortis and Glowy, Capiata choosing to get Spike and Gray out of the way, and then our map-specific bans, Buster, Brock, Colt, Leon, Lou, and RT, with Pierce being the first pick and Gene being the second pick for Capiata.
Indeed. I like this Gene pick. We haven't seen Gene being brought out that much in this tournament, so seeing it being brought out now is nice. Pierce as well, somehow skipping past the bends, and we're finally probably going to see Hypercharge Pierce. But the thing is, a Hypercharge on Knockout is not an easy prospect to get, but if Pierce gets it, I feel like that's basically a win condition for Comeback. So that's something that Capiata have to keep track of, especially knowing all of this. But they take out the Rico, and I like Rico on this map. There are enough Ricochet walls which make Rico a pretty big threat.
Yeah, Pan, I hate to burst your bubble, but that Pierce Hyper isn't out yet, man.
Oh, it isn't out? Okay.
No, not yet. I think the Pierce and the Glowy Hypers got delayed. But either way, Pierce still a fantastic brawler. That super is still very impactful in the end game. I do think that the Rico is a fantastic option. The kind of the way that this map works, if you do choose to send all your members up the lane, Rico is probably the best brawler to scout out this bushy lane. So makes it a lot harder to get ran up on, makes it a lot easier to get some supers. If you can get people caught in an uncomfortable predicament, the Ollie is going to come out for Comeback, though. Not a brawler that we've seen be as popular as he once was. Certainly has fallen out of the meta a little bit, but in an endgame situation in Knockout, that super can still be super impactful.
Indeed. We have Angelo as well coming out for Comeback. I like this Angelo pick. Since Angelo has been introduced, he's always been brought out in such maps, and when you have your Hypercharge and you manage to hit one of those shots, it's going to be really, really devastating. So you have to be careful about that. The jump or the Pierce are both options that you could go for. I would probably opt for the jump only because Gene exists on the map. So that's just me, though.
Yeah, I think I agree with you in that. The jump is just a little bit more impactful in the end game. The Pierce can be really nice if you can catch somebody early, but in competitive level Knockout, that's not super common. The Charlie is going to come out, though, granting a little bit more value to a potential Angelo Pierce. Either way, I think the Charlie is a pretty solid answer. The Spiders are going to be a great counter to Pierce as well as Angelo, and that Cocoon can kind of eliminate the Ollie threat at the end of the game. So I like both of these comps. I feel like I do fare a little bit towards the Ollie Pierce side, but we'll have to see how it goes as we get into game one.
And we are going to have a match on our hands. Comeback versus Capiata FC. It's Chile versus Paraguay. Let's see which team is going to be up on top.
Looks like the strategy is going to be spreading out a little bit for the side of Comeback. Nah, they're all going to go to the left side, but Capiata is going to spread out their forces here. The Rico is going to be in a little bit of a 1v2 situation on the left-hand side of the map. He does have the range to be able to deal with that, but now that Gibson's landed a tap on him, he's likely going to have to fall back. Looks like he used the bouncy castle gadget to regen.
Indeed. Ranks in the back lines here, going up against GM Pro 5, but they're kind of trying to ensure that the Rico doesn't get in the middle of the map, and I think that's probably a well-advised decision coming in from Comeback, because once Rico gets it on the point, it's going to be very hard to get out of that situation, and those Spiders aren't going to do much against Sky here, but now Rico has super and has kind of set himself up in a very good spot in the mid.
Absolutely, a really good spot right there. And Sky is in a pretty compromised position. Should Rico choose to let that super rip, he does, and it's only going to get a couple of connections onto Gibson, so not the worst situation for Comeback. They still have good positioning, and Sky's got that super should he choose to go in.
Indeed, and Chuckoxify uses super there. There is a super for Ren. I think this is the opportune moment to use that super. I'm not sure why he isn't going for it. He gets a little bit of value. There are so many of those shells, those bullets, but he doesn't go for it. Sky should be able to get the kill. Oh my god, he manages to get his shot back before Zombie was able to hit off his shot.
He left Zombie alive for a while there, though. I was worried if he was going to forget about the Charlie right behind him. That was a little bit of a close finish, but I think Sky had it all under control. He gets to hold on to another super, too, which can be used early if he thinks that he can get the jump on the Rico. More than likely going to save that for later in the game if he can especially get a hypercharge.
Indeed, and after they changed that hypercharge for Ollie, where he can't jump over stuff, it's not as useful. Otherwise, I can just imagine him just jumping on the Rico and destroying him.
Yeah, that would definitely not be what Rico would like to see, but it looks like Capiata is changing up the strats a little bit here. They are all coalescing over this right-hand side. Gianprofi does have a gene pull. There's not really a great target for him with Angelo and Sky both being able to jump. Zombie Killer's going to fall quite weak there, too. His Spider's kind of saved his life. He's going to have to get those magic puffs from Gianprofi to get back in this game.
Yeah, it's very annoying for ranks to face off against Zombie Killer because of those spiders, and Sky has to be on that spider usually. Otherwise, ranks is never going to be on the oppressive side of the things. And there we have a big hypercharge being used by Zombie Killer, and it should be able to take out Sky. You guess the kill on ranks, and the complete team of Comeback are dispatched by Capiata.
Really good Charlie Cocoon, and then the Rico popping super right after that was enough to secure the other two members. I think Rico fully cycled right there too, so he's got another super online. He's once again going to try to solo this left lane by himself. He might have an angle for a good super if he chooses to let it out here, but Renix is keeping the other teammates very, very weak over here on this right side. Gianprofi's quite weak with that pull.
Indeed, on the right-hand side, we see the entirety of Capiata FC. In the middle, Comeback have a lot of control. There is that super from Sky, but he's been holding on to it for a little bit. Ranks is making sure that he pushes back the opposition, and so far it seems to be a little bit of a détente. We're just waiting to get all for supers and for the smoke to start billowing in before any major plays are made.
I'm waiting to see who Gianprofi is going to pull because he's been holding on to that thing for quite some time. I know Sky can jump out, but surely he's able to get an angle on Ranks here. Chalk Oxidized is closing into the mid. The smoke should start coming in soon, but Chalk Oxidized is in a very powerful position with his Rico. Gianprofi getting in position for a pull, but he's going to back off it for now, and he's going to miss it. That is devastating for Capiata.
Yeah, and a big super actually coming in from Ranks. He should be able to get the kill on the Zombie Killer. Not going to be the case, but he's tapping up Gianprofi. Now, super coming from Sky. He should be able to get the kill on one. He jumps onto Gene, able to cap that off with a comeback win.
Yeah, really cleanly played by Ollie at the end right there. Definitely not the optimal position. His teammates were quite weak at the end of that game, but he knew if he held onto his super and his gadget, he'd be able to do a little bit of 1v2ing. That's exactly what he did. The strategy was there. I feel like this could definitely go either way. Capiata have a good comp. They just have to coordinate their final push a little bit better.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that one. We're going to go into game number 2 here. And Comeback narrowly got that win there. They played that a little bit better than their opponents, but I think that there is a way forward. It all really hinges on Gianprofi. If he gets his super and actually hits it, then that's basically a win.
That would definitely be pretty helpful for them. I mean, he held on to it for the entire game and then sent it like 5 feet to the left of the Angelus. So certainly not the best value. The nerves might be getting to him a little bit here. This is definitely a must-win for both of these teams. Gianprofi getting caught out too high, though, and Sky's going to be able to catch him through the spiders. And this is just not exactly what Capiata FC are looking for. They're going to be stuck in a very unfavorable 2v3.
Indeed, Bouncy Castle to keep Chuck Oxidized low, healthy. And now we see Sky going in, jumping in onto the Rico. Rico was already like, okay, I'm going to die now, but it doesn't matter. Right now, Zombie Killer is alive. And I think they want to get the super or maybe the hypercharge or something for the next interaction. And that's exactly what he gets. Doesn't get too much of the super up to Sky, but Comeback have already managed to get 2 of their own. So it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, probably not the best value there. I think I would definitely rather have the Ollie super than the Charlie super. Just a lot easier to charge the Charlie super up throughout the course of a normal game too. But either way, there wasn't really any smoke to back into, so fair enough. It looks like Comeback are pretty pinched back on this left-hand side here. Chalk Oxidized taking a lot of positioning with the Rico, but he overextends. Sky might be able to catch him lacking. Indeed he does, but the pull is there. But I don't know if Gianprofi has enough damage to be able to take out Sky. Indeed, he doesn't. That's going to be an ill-advised pull that is more than likely going to lead to Comeback winning this set.
Like, if he pulled him a second earlier, that would have been a kill. But that late, there is no way a tank can handle the Gene. And now Sky is going to go up against Zombie Killer, easily claim that victory. And that's going to be a comeback win.
That was a very, very dominant game right there. I definitely could have seen a way that Capiata FC's comp worked out, but at the end of the day, the team synergy, the team plays were just much better on the side of comeback. I feel like their comp was a little bit more favorable. Gene is like somewhat fallen off of the meta. I feel like there's too many brawlers now that have abilities that can either tank or just dash away from a Gene pull. We didn't see a single Gene pull hit except for the one that ended up in his final death. So not my favorite pick. I think it has fallen off a little bit. We'll have to see if that stands.
Yeah, this is a little bit of a devastating loss for Capiata because that puts them in a difficult spot when it comes to the Road to Brawl Cup SA. Comeback really need that win, and if they are able to close this down in a 3-0, then they have a fighting chance against David Paleta. But they have to win that in a better scoreline than, you know, they lost against David Paleta, which is 3-0. Anyway, we are going to be going to open business. Do you have any other notes about Gold Arm College?
Not really. I feel like that was just pretty well played. I feel like the draft was definitely there. I was a big fan of the Ollie pick. I feel like he has fallen off, but this is the situation where you want to bring him out when he can just kind of solo win you the game at the end of knockout. I feel like that was the perfect time to bring out the Ollie. Made a lot of sense, and it was played pretty much to perfection. So really good stuff as far as the knockout set goes. We are going to be moving into open business, so probably going to see a little bit more tankier options. Like we've said before, a lot of these Buffy brawlers going to be really strong on this map, including Bo, Crow, and Leon.
Oh yeah, I want to see how these brawlers are brought out, which order and everything, because open business is you have some walls as well, right? It's not just open. The name makes it seem like it's more open than it actually is. I feel like there are enough walls to make it a little bit cagey. But yeah. Bo is a really good brawler on this map because of the fact that you have the wall break and the fact that the bow totem is also going to be able to be hid behind the walls. And it's so massive right now that you're going to be able to get a lot of value for your own teammates to get their supers. So I really like Bo on this map, or you should ban it out. Leon also can help you out by putting the lollipop drop on the opposite side, but in the same direction, and you know, you get that 15% movement speed, which is actually quite considerable, all things considered.
It is a lot of movement speed, especially when it applies to yourself as well as your teammates. I mean, obviously getting some speed to yourself is nice, but like when we saw Max was super meta, like that's because she was able to get those tankier options a lot more of that speed. So Leon has become a little bit more of a synergy brawler than he used to be. It used to be all about the solo Leon mission, sneaking on one guy, getting that kill and getting out. But nowadays, a little bit more of a grouped up type of brawler. So I really like the way that Leon's kind of evolved into this meta, even though he might be a little bit broken with the buffies. Still a pretty skilled brawler that you have to use your brain when you play.
Oh yeah, 100%. And there are so many new synergistic attributes that you can bring out because of all the other brawlers' buffies and their supers, and you know, the abilities to give your teammates a higher amount of hypercharge. For example, Max's hypercharge, or with a hypercharge drop from Ruffs, you are able to get your hypercharge. So there are so many different synergistic attributes that you can bring to the table. For example, on open business, say you want to run something a little bit more open, for example, you could run maybe a Ruffs along with a Leon. The Ruffs will open up the wall, it'll give you the treats, so Leon will get the hypercharge or whatever. You have a mid for some kind of control. I feel like, you know, you have to think about it not just from the individual brawler aspect, but how can the brawler help your team from a holistic sense.
Yeah, no, I think those are all great points. Another brawler I kind of want to give a little bit of attention to before we get this draft fired up is going to be Lou, who did get a couple of buffs in the last set of balance changes, even though I personally think he was already in a pretty decent spot. Not sure how necessary the buffs were, but basically his ice rink is going to freeze opponents a little bit faster, and it's going to take a little bit more time for the frozen opponents to start unfreezing. So I think those two changes, while they seem pretty small by themselves, in conjunction with the Lou actually shooting at you, can be pretty impactful. Regardless of that, our bans are BB, Barry, Pierce, Amber, Charlie, and Leon. And rather than the Lou, we're going to see that Finks coming out, probably the most popular first pick in Hot Zone nowadays.
I like the Finks pick. You're gonna have so much of area denial, especially with that super and that hypercharge as well. Poco is so good. It is it is basically the direct answer to Finks, like we've talked about.
Yeah. Yeah, Poco and Crow, I feel like, are the two brawlers that do very, very well into Finks. Main reason being their shot spreads pretty evenly across the entire time warp that Finks has. So not really going to be able to juke out of a Poco shot when it's just a singular wave of sound coming at you. The M's kind of similar as well. So they're taking brawlers that don't get countered out by Finks' super. I think that's really wise by Comeback.
The M's pick, you're going to be able to ensure that, you know, if you have a tanky brawler on the other side, you can take it down. And this just makes it a bit bit difficult for Capiata. There are so many different adaptable situations for Comeback's composition. They can take so many different tank options here. We have anti-heal coming out from Capiata FC. Still, I don't see enough of a damage output from Capiata FC to take down Poco and a tank in this situation, so not 100% convinced so far.
I do really like the Crow pick. I think that they definitely need some more damage, as you've said, but the Crow is kind of necessary just for the anti-heal aspect. Obviously, outranging Poco and M is going to be really useful for charging up those hypers. Now that hyper buffy is in play, it's a very broken ability that Crow should be able to feed for a relatively low price in this matchup. I do think they need some more damage, though. I think Otis could be a pretty decent shout, but they're going to go with a less conventional pick being the Meg. I feel like Meg in this map is pretty solid, but she is a pretty off-meta pick.
The Meg, I mean, I understand the Meg. Like you mentioned, it is an off-meta pick. It has HP and stuff like that. What? They have Barley coming out? I understand the Barley, actually, because there aren't any wall breaks on either side of the team, so Barley's going to be very, very oppressive. The only way the Barley gets taken out is if the Crow kind of, jumps into the Barley's face. So I understand why they would go for the Barley. I don't think the Poco is necessarily a bad pick, because it still kind of makes sure that the Finks is muted to a certain degree.
Yeah, the Barley pick is interesting. It's going to be tough to take the Barley out, but I don't really see the Barley being able to get that many kills at the same time. I could be proven wrong by that. Obviously, the Super is going to be really impactful for phasing out the zone. Also, the Barley heal gadget can pair up nicely with Poco having those heals. So the Ems is going to be getting heals from both of her teammates. It should be able to make her a pretty impactful brawler. The range advantage is on the side of Capiata, but I don't really know how they're going to fare into this Barley matchup.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about that, because Barley has heal as well, right? Or you could get the slows down as well. But in this situation, considering the composition they're going up against, heal will be better because the anti-heal is already there, so you get a little bit more in terms of that. But we're going to go into game number 1. Comeback are already on the back foot, which is a little crazy to me.
Yeah, it seems like Shock Oxidized was able to hit a lot of those early shots in the game. He's already got a Time Warp on the field, but Sky honestly counters that Time Warp extremely well. His shots just kind of sit in the middle of that Fink Super and make it so you really can't juke around them at all. That's going to be a nice team kill from Comeback. And now Guillaume Profi is the only lone member remaining on his squad. He's going to be quickly dispatched, though.
Yeah, I just don't really see a world where Capiata can come back after, losing this control that they had. The control that they had was already hard to win, but the fact that they, completely capitulated is a little bit disappointing.
Yeah, the Meg is going to have a really hard time making herself useful in this matchup at this point. Sky's already got an M's Hypercharge ready to go. The Time Warp is down, but as we see, this M's just, it honestly is a buff to the M's rather than, hurting her shots. The Crow Jump is in, but Sky surely is going to pop this Hyper to defend himself. He didn't even use the Hyper, just the Super in and of itself is going to be enough. That's going to be a very easy game number 1 win for Comeback.
Yeah, just the fact that, you have the Finks on one side and then you have the Poco and M's already makes the Finks not as useful, because the area denial is such a huge aspect of both of the Poco and M's shots that it doesn't matter if you have that Super of the Finks.
Yeah, it just genuinely doesn't counter them out at all. So I'm wondering if Capiata's wishing they would have went for a different first pick, perhaps. Obviously, the Poco and the M's were in response to the Finks, so it would have been a whole different draft. But either way, just not able to get the most value out of that. I'm just noticing that Poco is going with the anti-stun, anti-poison gadget too. So that's a nice little mix-up of the build to specifically counter at the Crow a little bit harder. Just one of those small build decisions that makes a big difference.
Oh yeah, 100%. Shock Oxidize is going to be low and gets taken out here. Now Gibson has a little bit of control here, along with Sky, and Ranks is going to be there up against Zombie Killer. But I think it should be a pretty difficult match here because of all the healing from both the Poco and from the DPS Poco. DPS Poco. Oh my god.
That's insane that Ranks was able to get that kill right there. Just completely face-checking a Meg, fully takes her out of the mech and kills her afterwards. I mean, that's just... the sustainability of the Poco is on a whole nother level. Gibson's going to get that gadget off before he does die to Guillaume Profi's Crow Jump, but the zone percentage is very heavily favoring the side of Comeback. Ranks does miss his Hyper on the Sky, but all things considered, doesn't really matter all that much. They still have M's in position with a Hyper and a huge lead.
Dude, Ranks is kind of, showing us that aura right now. He's flexing on them. It's kind of crazy. Hypercharge being popped by Sky, and Zombie Killer should fall as well. Another Hypercharge being used. Sky does fall, and that was a little bit too egregious. Hypercharge being used by Giambrify, finds one kill, not able to find the other as Ranks is going to step on the zone to claim their victory.
Yeah, that is a pretty dominant victory for comeback right there. I did like their draft a lot better, and I like their gameplay a lot better as well. I feel like you really can't even just chalk that up to solely a draft diff right there. But the Fink's
Mhm.
first pick, we're starting to see a couple of the weaknesses that it has. Those brawlers that have those spread shots that kind of just sit inside of the time warp, don't allow you to juke around it. They're definitely going to have good matchups. Although Fink's does have a lot of versatility, he does have those bad matchups that we saw comeback take advantage of.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you have to be very, very careful about how you're drafting Finks now, because it seems like now it would be better as a counter pick later on rather than an early pick, because there are so many different glaring deficiencies that are there in Finks's arsenal, which can be, abused. And that's exactly what we saw in the form of Poco, and M is just completely decimating them. And the Poco, yes, it has survivability. It's very, very, bulky in its own way. But it's also the fact that you had the herbal tonic coming in from the barley, putting those down and allowing Poco to heal just a little bit more. I don't think Poco takes out Meg, but with that specific interaction in mind, maybe he does. It's still crazy though. It's very crazy to me.
That was a really fun 1v1 to watch, but I feel like Poco is in such a really good spot in this hot zone meta right now, because some of the first picks that are the most popular, we talked about the Lou before the draft, we talked about the Finks during the game, but both of those brawlers do get hard countered out by Poco, so I feel like it is a little bit of a rock, paper, scissors game as far as drafting your mid for a lot of these hot zone maps. You can secure a brawler like Lou that is hypothetically great into tanks, has that ice rank, but then a brawler like Poco can come out with that anti-stun gadget, completely nullifying your super. Also, like obviously Finks super we've talked about getting countered out by Poco. So really liking the place that Poco's in with this meta right now. Obviously pairs up so well with so many of the broken aggros too.
Oh yeah, this was a pretty interesting set to see because of the different strategies that were brought to the which were employed, and I liked how they were able to synergize in a way that would give them a lot of value. Right, comeback is. If you look at the way they are drafting, they're very methodical about how they're doing it. So they understand how the meta works, and they understand what to draft, when to draft it. So I'm thinking that they're, preparing for the next set very, very closely here. As we go to Hard Rock Mine, we have Capiata taking the Rico as a first pick, and the bans are going to be Pierce, Ems, Crow, Pierce, Otis, BB, along with the global bans being Mortis, Glober, Spike, and Gray.
I'm a little surprised to see Capiata banning out BB when they did in fact have the first pick. I feel like they could have taken advantage of that a little bit harder and secured that BB for themselves, but regardless, they chose to ban her out. They're going to go with the Rico. Definitely no problems with that pick. This map was borderline made in the lab for Rico mains out there to have so much fun with. Ruffs, similarly to Rico, is going to be able to bounce around those walls, making him a fantastic option. Not even to speak about the wall break he has to break his teammates out of an unfavorable spawn trap. And then Gus is just going to be the most popular mid that we've had throughout Gem Grab today. He's definitely got a lot of sustainability, synergizes well with a lot of brawlers, just overall a safe pick.
Yeah, I like this Ruff's pick a lot because it kind of makes sure that the Rico isn't as oppressive, because if you get those very important wall breaks, then your team isn't going to get annoyed at all by that Rico. So I like this pick. Your bow is coming out for Capiata. Amazing pick. I can't fault bow. So far, this draft looks pretty decent from both sides, all things considered.
I like it for both sides. I think that the bow totem's going to get a ton of value on a map like Hard Rock Mine. Also, just getting those mines up in the middle can make it so much more difficult for the Gus to do his job of picking up those gems. You always got to be cognizant of where those bow mines are, because a single misstep in the wrong direction can just absolutely destroy your entire game. It can cause an entire reset. You really don't want to be responsible for those type of mistakes if you're carrying the gems. So it's definitely going to give the Gus a lot to think about.
You got to be very careful about how you're playing this one if you're Gus, because all the things that we've mentioned. Carl's coming out from Capiata FC, and I believe we saw Carl by Capiata FC in the last set as well on a gem grab set, so they're rating this quite highly. I don't know if it's the best decision here. I think that they're going for it against the Ruffs here. Yeah. I like the Shade. We've seen how good Shade can be. I think this Shade is the pick here.
I think this is an outdraft from comeback. I'm with you on that. I feel like the Carl, it does enough things all right, but it doesn't do anything fantastically well. It feels like a little bit too safe for my preferences. I feel like a team like Capiata, who has been on the back foot, needs to kind of swing for the fences with this draft a little bit, and I don't really think the Carl is the type of brawler that does that. Shade has a lot of good matchups here, so I'm definitely going to have my eye on Ranks to see what he's able to cook.
Oh yeah, and Ranks was cooking on Shade, if we remember, against Dame Peleda, which is the team which is on top here. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Capiata try to come back against this one. And Zombie Killer missing the gadget right off the offset, gets taken out by Ranks, and there is no pressure, no control, nothing coming out from Capiata right now.
Nah, nothing at all. Ranks is kind of on a solo mission right here. He's going to be able to take out Profi, and next up is going to be Chalk Oxidized. He fully cycles out Super there. Although he doesn't secure that kill yet, it's just a matter of time. He's going to refocus on the Zombie Killer. It seems like he's just taking out the enemy team one by one. He finally is dealt with by the Carl.
Yep. I feel like he could have survived the Carl if he walked in the walls a little bit better, but you know, sometimes in that speed you might just kind of clip out a little bit. And again, Carl getting the better of him. And obviously when Carl has super, you can't really do that. So many kills coming out. Sky, can he survive? Sky is trying, he's dodging, but no, the gems are going to be picked up instead from the Rico Chalk Oxidized.
Massive super from Chalk Oxidized there. I thought Sky might be able to finesse around that, but either way, the gems were always going to leave their hands, and now we quickly have a turnaround. It's going to be 9 gems for Capiata FC to the 1 gem that Comeback has. We do have some bow mines finally taking play in the mid here too, so Sky and Gibson both going to have to be careful as they try to get this comeback.
Oh! That's a big kill. He popped him with the Cookie Popper. The super as well is there. Hypercharge used by Zombie Killer. Doesn't get any value. Chalk Oxidized is going to be the next who's going to be targeted. Does narrowly survive because of the speed, Rico.
Yeah, Ranks almost fell to that 1 bow mine too. There is still one more. He's not going to pop it yet, and here comes the Hypercharge. Surely that's going to get Chalk Oxidized. It does. Next is going to be Zombie Killer. He's going to fall. Another super pop by Ranks. Will he go for Profi? I guess he'll have Mercy for now. Never mind. That is going to be a full squad wipe from the Shade.
He even, oh my god, that super from Sky was so opportune. He picks up 9 gems. Not sure why he didn't go for the 10th one. I felt like he could have gone for the 10th one. There was another reset again, which is a little bit unfortunate. But Jamperfy is going to be alive. He puts down his mines as well. And just like that, we keep on having some gems going from either side, right?
Yeah, certainly a misplay by Sky to not pick up that 10th gem. That is going to be a minor mistake that's going to cause some major problems. He hits the bow hypercharge mine, and now it's going to be on Gibson and Ranks to try to get a reset. Chalk Oxidized in a little bit of a bad spot, though. He is going to get caught out. Now it's all up to Profi to try to play defense, but he falls too. This man Ranks is on a mission today. He's got 9 gems. Sky has 9 gems. So, I mean, they can't all die, but they're in a pretty good spot to secure this countdown.
Yeah, 100%. What's going to be a big thing is the super from Chalk Oxidized. Understanding that Rems goes in, gets a kill on him. Zombie Killer and Jamperfy trying to Sky. Oh no, that was disrespectful. He just popped him back with his super.
That game definitely could have gone either way. Chalk Oxidized was trying to will his team back into it on the back of his Rico with some of those insane supers, but overall I feel like that was a pretty clean comp diff from Comeback. I feel like they could have won it even earlier if Sky picked up that gem when he should have, but they definitely are going to take that victory. Obviously, Ranks is the player to watch here. He has been terrorizing Capiata FC. They're going to have to try to find an answer to the Shade aggression here.
Oh, for sure. Comeback are on match point here. Wing Hero is going to ensure that they get the dub on this 3rd set. So this is very important for them. Sky in the middle, just making sure he's tagging up both Jamperfy and Chalk Oxidized with the help of his teammate. There's going to be a little bit of a problem for Gisbin because of the bounty cast with Chalk Oxidized. Gets a kill there. Zombie Killer once again missing that gadget. I haven't seen that gadget actually hit at all.
Yeah, I have not seen that either, but it's going to be good positioning for Capiata regardless. It does seem like Chalk Oxidized is the backbone of their comp. If he's able to terrorize them, then they'll be able to get a little bit of positioning, but they haven't really been able to get that many kills other than Chalk Oxidized hitting cross-map Rico supers. Ranks does have 2 gems on his head, not super ideal for him. He does get marked up by the Carl Fire Panda, so we can at least say that. And for some reason, Sky does not use the shield on himself. That's going to put his teammates and the gems in a very compromised position.
Yeah, Zombie Killer popping his Hypercharge, trying to get out of there. He manages to get out there with all of the gems. That is actually crazy. That highway robbery. Hypercharge being used onto Ranks. Ranks has the super. Now he gets the Hypercharge as well. He's going for the onslaught. This gadget misses once more. Ranks is the kill. He's able to get the gems. He's able to get even more gems, and he's able to phase out of there. What did they do? That was a heist. That was a robbery.
Shade just isn't, his matchups are just too good, man. There's nothing that Capiata can do about it. The Shade matchups are just too opportune. They're going to be able to get that reset like it wasn't even a problem. I mean, Sky had that super when he died, and I guess he just knew it didn't matter at all. They were just always going to wait for Ranks, but that is going to be a clean sweep from Comeback. They needed to win this to keep their Brawl Cup hopes alive, and that is exactly what they did. Not even hesitating at all. That was very clean.
Yeah, I mean, the second game was very clean. The first game, it gives you a little bit of pause. But that being said, Comeback have managed to cap the dub against Capiata 3-0 in terms of the scoreline. So they're going to be very pleased with themselves because their rematch against Dame Paleta is promising to be quite the electric one.
Yep, taking a look at our match stats here real quick. It looks like Ranks is definitely the player I wanted to find first. 19 kills, 9 deaths, and a pretty good amount of damage as well. Carlos did manage to outdamage him, but overall, that Shade gameplay we saw in the last game was absolutely ridiculous. Was it a free matchup? Perhaps, but still, you got to be a good enough player to pull that off. I mean, just seeing the countdown take place, Carl getting away with all of those gems, and Comeback not even faltering for a single second. They knew that their aggro player had it in the bag. So well played by them to put the trust in their teammates. Really good drafting, really good gameplay, really good everything from Comeback. They look good.
Oh yeah, 100% sure. I really like the way Comeback were playing this one, and I feel like they need to clean up a little bit more because they are going to be going up against pretty stiff opposition because they're going to be facing Dame Paleta. So it has to be a lot cleaner because the Hard Rock Mine in the first game gives me a little bit of pause. There were no situations where they had to make those many mistakes, and playing against a team which is taking you down 3-1 is a very difficult prospect, right? Not only do you have to beat this team, you have to beat them in a 3-0 scoreline to have the benefit against them. So it's a little bit of a difficult proposition going up for them right now.
Yeah, just trying to put this into perspective for you viewers at home. I think the situation that we have right now is if Dame Paleta win this set, they are going to be our group making it out of, or our team making it out of Group D. If Comeback are to win this set, then it will go down to a set tiebreaker. Obviously, we have 2 more matches after this that could change the outcome of things, but the sets are going to be very important for Comeback to be able to win this. They need to win at least 3-1 to have a singular chance. So even a 3-2 scoreline won't do it. They've got to be locked in from the onset here. They got to be dialed in. They did win set 1 of their first matchup against Dame Paleta, and then they dropped the next 3. So they got to try to do more of what they did in set 1, less of what they did when they got swept.
Yeah, that set 1 win that they got is very important for the storyline that we're talking about because it gives them that little bit of a buffer, right? But that buffer is still not that much. You still got to win 3-0 because if you win 3-1, then it's not in your hands. You don't control your destiny then. Your destiny is at the behest of Capiata FC, who have not claimed a single set against any of the other teams. So, right now, destiny is in your hands and you got to be the master of it.
Exactly. Yep. This is all it's all Dame Paleta's game to lose at this point. They've got to make sure that they're dialed in for this. Like we said, they just need to get a couple of sets to secure their ticket out of Group D, but they've got to be feeling the pressure at this point. I mean, Comeback gave them a couple of troublesome moments in their first matchup against each other. So I'm expecting a little bit more of that. I hope that Comeback is feeling themselves after that resounding victory over Capiata, and hopefully they'll be able to put up a pretty solid fight here in match number 4.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely looking to see what happens here. In Comeback versus Dame Paleta, we have Bridge Too Far as the first set. Then we go now out in the open. Then Ring of Fire, Death Cap Trap, and Super Beach. But, Death Cap Trap, Super Beach, only if it's required, right? Yep. If you're Comeback, you want to get this win. So you have to close it out in Bridge Too Far, out in the open, and Ring of Fire. But again, you're going to have out in the open as a second map. And that is one which requires insane amount of coordination and a lot of discussion with your team and all of that, so it's not exactly the easiest thing.
Yeah, I think Bridge Too Far is going to be a really fun map to start us off on too. Definitely one of the more I guess unique maps is the way I'll phrase it here. There's not that many maps with that much water, not that many maps with that defined of lanes. The kind of structure of the map does make it very favorable for brawlers who can walk over water. Angelo is definitely the first one that comes to mind, especially with his less used second star power. I believe it's called, I forget what it's called, but it's the one that makes you faster when you're walking on top of the water. That one can be really fun to bring out here. Eve is another brawler. Juju and Ali can be pretty impressive as well. But we've got our bans in. Globally banned out by Comeback are going to be Glowy and BB. Dame Paleta opting for the Pierce and the Bow. And then the bans are going to be Chuck, Colt, Angelo, Charlie, Byron, and Colt once again, with Dame Paleta having the first pick.
And we saw how good Colette was in one of the sets that we saw earlier. The first pick is going to be Crow. So you get the anti-heal, you get the fact that you can poison people, you get the fact that you can slow them down or jump on the safe to hypercharge and take it down one pop. But such an early pick for Crow is an interesting one. I'm not 100% sure if that is expected or not though.
Yeah, Crow can certainly struggle if he gets outranged on this map, so I'm expecting Comeback to go with a little bit more range. I think Dame Paleta is assuming that they'll go at least one brawler eventually that feeds Crow a little bit. Crow is probably going to be more of that defensive brawler until he gets that hyper to finish off the safe. I think the Nani pick is fantastic. You typically see pro players opting with the teleport gadget on Nani on this map, so once you get that one super, you can go all the way up to the safe, get some free shots off there. They're going to pair that up with an Amber to play a little bit more defense, a little bit more mid control. I feel like that's a pretty solid draft.
Amber coming out is nice. I feel like you can, burn up the grass on either side. Makes it easier for you to see where people are. But once you get that hypercharge, it's definitely going to be a big thing. Dame Paleta going for the... Wow, they're going for the Miko. And I don't think that Miko is bad by any means, but I feel like this map is a little difficult to run the Miko. You have to go like zigzag cross lane and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's not really that many walls to jump over. You're more like jumping left to right rather than jumping from front to back or back to front. So it's not the best heist map as far as the structure goes for Miko. That being said, Miko is still a very strong heist brawler. If you're able to get up onto the safe, you do about 7% per jump, I think, with the correct star power. So very frustrating brawler. He gets a lot of guaranteed damage, but Amber does have a decent matchup with her Spinning Flames gadget. So I feel like the Amber defense is definitely going to be something to keep an eye out for. The Bell matchup should be pretty strong into the Amber, though, so I like Dame Paleta's comp.
The Bell matchup is definitely going to be very good. We get those bear traps down. You're going to be able to get the mark down as well. But what Comeback is lacking right now is something which can definitively get onto the objective, which Dame Paleta have. And that's exactly what I was going to say. Melody is a really good brawler right now because one is the lanes are so specific and so solid that if Melody is in the lane that you're not in, then she just basically gets a free line of sight to the safe.
Yeah, I do like the Melody pick, but I think that Dame Paleta low-key expected that by going with the Crow first pick. That is going to be the only brawler that really feeds Crow all that much, so certainly going to be up to the Crow and the Bell to play a lot of defense. You really never want to be playing any type of defense with the Miko. I feel like this game is going to come down to which aggro has the freer path to the safe. Both of them are going to be pretty messy, but I think that Melody and Miko are both going to be able to kind of be the determining factor of this game.
Yeah, I mean, the last time we saw Melody, it wasn't as oppressive as we thought. Ooh, Trick just going on it. He gets one shot, which is more important than anything else, and that's the objective that he should try to satisfy. And Ranks on the other side gets taken out by Max, Reborn as well, trying to mark down Gibson, and Prick is not at all distracted. He knows what his job is, and his job is the save.
Yep, and he's going to get 2 jumps out there. Almost enough for a crack from both teams. It looks like both safes are going to be cracked here. We're going to see Trick continue to do the same thing over and over again, but Sky is going to pile a little bit more damage out here. Does bait out a Bell jump or a Bell super. Trick might be able to get onto the safe, but he is not going to have any luck getting up there this time.
Yeah, and the safe hasn't been popped on the right-hand side, so I don't know if Gibson wants to go and use the super on the safe just yet, or maybe hold on to control. I think that they want to hold on control as much as possible because otherwise they'd have to deal with both Trick and also the other opponent. So I like what they're doing right now.
Yeah, Trick is having a really tough time getting onto the safe right there. Same goes for Ranks, though. He is going to be cleaned up by Max. Sky doing a good job wiggling some of these shots onto Reborn. He's going to be able to take a little bit of control, but now Trick has a path on the left-hand side. He should surely be able to get a couple of jumps onto the safe, but Ranks is not going to worry about that at all. He's going straight for the safe as well. That's going to be 25%. The comeback safe is down to 50%, but overall, it's looking very solid for comeback right now.
Indeed, big hypercharge coming from Max, and that's going to definitely pop the safe already. 23% to 17%. It's manageable, but on the other side, we finally have the Melody going in, but Melody is also able to... What? He killed it! He killed the Nani, and then they're able to get the dub. That's going to be game number 1 for comeback.
Yeah, that was a good use of the Nani teleport that we talked about during the draft stage. You don't really want to use it until you know that you have a chance to get up there, so waiting until the safe was on very low HP was probably a wise decision right there. Overall, I'm just noticing that the Melody just seems to be able to get to the safe a little bit simpler than the Miko. Although Miko can just kind of jump his way up there, it's pretty easy to tell where his next move is. So really good defense from comeback. We're going to have to see if Trick can pull out any tricks here.
Oh, 100%. We go into game number 2. Trick is jumping in. He tries to get 1 pop. He gets 2 on the safe. Pop. 2 jumps on the safe. And on the other side, we have Nani also doing the same thing, trying to take the safe down. He's managed to take it down quite a lot more, and now we should get his first safe pop by Sky.
Trick choosing to jump over Sky rather than securing that kill might have been a little bit of a mistake. He's going to survive longer than he probably should have. Trick choosing not to jump on the safe this time, though. Some questionable Miko jump decisions right there. Definitely going to be bad for Dame Paleta. They are getting close to getting their safe down to 50.
Yeah, they would have been like closer by about, 10% or something if they just let that happen. And now Trick does get a little bit of damage, has popped the save, and we are at parity in terms of at least the save pop.
Yeah, definitely going to be a pretty close finish. Trick is going to jump up one time and then pop that super, trying to get himself a free path onto the safe. It looks like the side of Comeback is going to choose to ignore that, though. Sky hits the bell trap and gets marked, though, so maybe not the best time to leave. Ranks is surely going to be dealt with by Max here. Indeed, he is. Gibson is the next to fall. We've got both safes at very even, actually exactly even percentages, but Trick might be able to get one more jump off. Going to be pretty big right there if they can get this 25% safe crack, which I believe they should.
Yeah, Gibson used his invincibility as much as possible to get value there, but Hypercharge coming in. It is not going to be the day for comeback as Dame Paleta get their comeback.
That's exactly how you want to play Crow. You want to play defense until you get your Hypercharge, and then use that Hypercharge once that safe is past the 25% crack. That was pretty textbook Crow gameplay, just getting a lot of free Supercharge off of the Melody dive, so I think that was probably the right decision as far as the timing went. I do think Trick played a little bit bad on the Miko right there. Definitely some questionable decisions, but his teammates were able to cover for him.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Now Trick jumping in once more. And it just goes to show if he was able to get those jumps in earlier, they would have won much earlier, wouldn't be close.
Yeah.
But right now, we see Melody going in, and Ranks is able to pop the safe, and now we are at parity in terms of the damage on the safe, more or less.
Yep, Trick is going to be trying to find his next path up to the safe. He baits out a little bit of the Amber Oil, using that long jump to get onto the safe one more time. 2 jumps is not going to be a horrible trade for him. I think that 2 jumps per life is kind of what you're looking for a productive Miko run, but he's going to get those, not going to get much more. Neither team getting that close to 50%. Going to be on Trick to try to get that first safe crack before his opponents.
He was pretty close, but wasn't able to get it all there. Wow. Sky opting to use the super on the right-hand side instead of down the middle.
I guess just trying to block off the lane for Max, but he's not going to be there with the burn, so it's not really going to do a whole lot. Ranks is trying to get as much damage as he can, but Max with an opportune jump going to help his teammates eliminate those threats. That being said, the Dame Paleta safe is on its final crack, so one more solid push from Comeback should be enough to do this. Keep your eyes out on Gibson. He's going to teleport to the safe.
Yeah, and they identified that and they understood. He only took 5% off their save, so they still have a ways back, but it's really going to be up to Trick to get those shots off, and he manages to pop the save, so they're a little bit closer, but they're still sufficiently behind.
Yeah, still a lot of coming back to do for Dame Paleta to make this game winnable. Ooh. That Hypercharge mark is going to be solid. We are going to have Trick playing a little bit more defense out of kind of just necessity at this point. Not going to be able to kill Gibson, though, and that might be the finishing blow with only 4,000 HP left. Max is going to be forced to jump through, but Sky's got that Hyper. Surely that's enough to end the game. And indeed, it is going to be enough to end the game. So once again, in set number 1 between Comeback and Dame Paleta, we have Comeback coming out on top.
Yeah, and we told you that this is going to be promising. This would promise to be a very, very close game between these two teams because they're very evenly matched. The drafts were also, there were lots of good decision making when it came into the draft. I feel like one of the biggest reasons why Dame Paleta lost was the small mistakes, and it was basically the decision making of the Miko, when to go in, when not to go in, was, I feel like, the nail in the coffin for them.
Yeah, I think that the Miko was a little bit of a questionable pick, especially that early in the draft when there were still some other dive brawlers available. We didn't see the Ally get considered in that draft, but I feel like she could have had a little bit more mobility. Obviously not quite as much safe damage, but overall it was just really hard for the Miko to get up onto the safe. He kind of had to telegraph most of his decisions, and they were just able to deal with it on the defensive end of things. So I like the draft. I like the strategy from Comeback, and Dame Paleta, even though they dropped the first set last time, they've got to start locking in here. Definitely going down 2-0 would be pretty brutal for them.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, they're sitting pretty right now, but conceding the set is not the best for them. But Comeback this is exactly what they need. This is exactly what they want as they go out in the open.
Yep, out in the open should be a pretty fun map to decide set 2 with, guys. It's a map we haven't seen a whole lot of in our Road to Brawl Cup so far, so happy we'll get our hands on this one finally. It's a map that is definitely defined by your ability to get into the mid as fast as possible, so that's why brawlers like Brock and Colt that can break open the initial wall trapping you in your spawn can be so incredibly impactful, as well as brawlers like Angelo and Eve that can just walk around it without needing a wall break.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then we can also talk about brawlers like, for example, Lou. It's also pretty decent on. Wait, this is not open zone, right? Out in the open.
Out in the open, the knockout.
The knockout, yes. Yeah. Never mind. I lost my train of thought.
Lou has been picked on this map, though. I've seen in NA qualifiers before the Lou is brought out to specifically counter at the Frank in the end game. If you can get that Lou hypercharge, it can be super impactful. But we're gonna have our bans coming through here, guys. We've got Buster, Gene, and Crow banned out by Comeback. Dame Paleta banning out Gene, Angelo, and also Crow. So a lot of repeat bans here. Only 4 brawlers getting banned out specifically for out in the open, and we're gonna have Comeback with the first pick. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Brock to break open that wall.
Yeah, I feel like that is a pretty standard pick that you want. I'm also like the Angelo has been banned, which means that, you know, maybe you could go for an Eve as a late pick depending on what's necessary, but they go for the Leon as an early pick. Now, Leon, we've seen how good Leon can be, and they're rating it quite highly. Whether it's a first pick worthy pick, I don't know, but it seems to be the case that it is as strong as a lot of these teams suggest that they are.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that the new Buffies are as broken as they are, but I am surprised that Leon is going to be like the most picked one that we've had throughout our days. So pretty fun brawler. Glad to see him back in the meta. He's definitely going to be very threatening if he can get a super on a map like this. The Byron and the Spike are going to come out, though. A little bit of spray, a little bit of poison tick to try to keep tabs on the Leon a little bit better. Overall, a pretty safe 2-3 from Dame Paleta. They do not want to get caught on the back foot.
And that's why you have the Spike there. You just have a lot more control. And I like the Squeak pick, classically a really good brawler here, especially the wind up gadget. It's going to be very scary when you get to your super and the hypercharges as well. So I like the Squeak pick. It's really, really good. I don't know if Spike is going to be faring well into that Squeak, but Spike is not just there for that specific task, right?
Yeah, certainly. Squeak is typically brought out as a Spike counter. I think he's got one of the best matchups, one of the only brawlers actually that can fully counter out a Spike. Spike is one of the most versatile guys in the game, but the Bell is going to have a decent matchup into Spike as well. Should he be on that Life Plant Cactus gadget? I do like the comp from Comeback a lot. I feel like they have really done a good job addressing the Spike, but Dame Paleta going to opt for the Brock final pick, so they will be breaking that wall and they will be getting into mid a little bit faster than their opponents.
Yeah, and that is very important because in a map such as this one, once you lose control, it's very difficult to get it back. And here they get a little bit of early control compared to Comeback. So Comeback have to be a little bit careful about this. But they have that Leon Lollipop, which is going to allow them to move a little bit faster.
Yeah, the first interaction of this game is going to be really interesting because Dame Paleta will have the wall break, but Comeback will have the lollipop drop. So I think both teams are going to have a couple of tricks up their sleeve for trying to get into the mid as fast as possible, but we'll have to see who's going to get trapped in their spawn first. We are into set number 2, Panda.
Surprising that they didn't use it as early as I thought that they would. Anyway, ranks getting pushed back, and already a lot of control has been lost by Comeback, and I feel like this could have easily been solved if the Gibson put down his turret earlier. Not turret, but lollipop.
Yeah, I think he might have had his finger on the attack button instead of the gadget button. That's the only thing I can think of because it was a little bit awkward getting that gadget placed down. And because of that, and because of the wall break that the Brock has, we are going to see Comeback fully trapped in their spawn. Reborn's already got a Byron super online too, so that can certainly catch one of them out. Look how fast Gibson is in this lollipop drop, though. He is wiggling like an absolute madman, clearing out some space for his teammates.
Oh, 100%. And I like the fact that Ranks was able to hit that wind up onto Reborn, which pushed him back and allowed his team to get a little bit more control. But this is where Trick comes in, and Trick also has a super.
He's going to need to play that pretty soon here to trap the Comeback roster inside of their own spawn. Sky's going to try to force his way out of this, but the Cactus knocks him back too. And that surely is going to be Sky falling. That is going to be a clean round from Dame Paleta. Comeback need to get a much better start to avoid getting trapped in their spawn because they never really made it out.
Oh, 100%. Again, with the late lollipop drop, I really feel that they need to use it more effectively here. There is that super from Gibson, and that's something that Dame Paleta have to be careful about. I feel like if I was Gibson, I would go up and flash that super and go down because that would immediately give you so much more control.
Yeah, he's popping up the lollipop drop. I was seeing if he was going to use a super out of there, but he chooses not to. Regardless, I think Ranks ended up getting the kill with the wind-up gadget. Now Gibson's going to use that super, trying to confirm this round for his teammates. Both members of Dame Paleta kind of trapped in the spawn. It's going to be tough for them to break out.
Indeed. Oh, with a style, Sky uses the gadget and gets that kill there. And now the lone member is going to be tricked, but he finally gets dispatched. And that is a round for Comeback.
Definitely what the doctor ordered for them right there. Kind of all on Ranks' back. He was able to get that first kill with the wind-up gadget. He connects again right here, and that's going to force Brock to stay back pretty far. You can see how big that is for positioning. Gibson now able to move up into the opposing bushes right now, clearing out so much room. Ranks does get knocked back a little bit. The Fat Rocket is there to alleviate a little bit of pressure. The hypercharge is going to clear them back, though.
Yeah, Hypercharge doesn't get them any kills, but has provided so much value in terms of control. And now we're back to the round number 1. I feel so bad for comeback here, but they really have to contend against this Dame Paleta side. Gibson has a super, goes in, and that's exactly what they're afraid of, but he gets found out because of one of the spikes there. Fat Rocket does find its mark. Gibson very, very low. Rocket Rain doesn't hit Ranks or Gibson, but they are still back in their spawn.
I'm surprised Gibson made it out of that, but all things considered, I would much rather be Dame Paleta than comeback right now. That Spike Super is going to trap Ranks in the spawn a little bit, but Gibson's popping off. He's going to be able to get a kill. That is going to be the first kill, but maybe the only kill that his team is able to secure right there. The remaining 2 members of Dame Paleta lock in and are able to lock in that game. So starting off pretty well and out in the open, Dame Paleta look like they have a comp advantage. I think it's mostly due to that Brock wall break getting them that early positioning.
Yeah, and this set win is massive for Dame Paleta because it makes it one step closer for them to, get to the Brawl Cup, right? I mean, they get to the knockout stages, so they must be really happy about this one if they get the set win. So it's very important for them to do so to get this one, but it's still not over. We are still on game number 1.
Yeah, that's going to be a great start for comeback too. Spike is going to fall quite quickly. Didn't even see exactly how it happened, but Reborn is going to be left by himself. He does secure 1 kill. He might be able to get Ranks too. That could make this game really tight. He's going for it. He's going for it. And the poison does not tick down in time. That is very lucky for the side of comeback. That would have been an insane 1v3 at the highest level.
That was luck. That wasn't skill. That was like just luck that they were able to win that out of Dame Paleta. Heartbreak for them. We're gonna go into round number 2, come back round 1, and lots of shots being fired, but onto absolutely nobody. And again, comeback are in the same problem. They're in that rush.
Just such a tough spot to be in. Ranks is doing what he can to push his team out of this. Trix is gonna fall pretty weak right here. I think he'll be alive due to the heals that Reborn is offering him, but the positioning has completely changed hands right here. Comeback have full positioning. Sky is popping off with that bounce gadget. Not able to hit a connection, but Reborn is going to be in a tough spot, especially with the Bell Hyper. That's going to be a fantastic kill for Sky.
That is exactly what the doctor ordered. They have a round win. If they get this one, they are able to equalize the score in this set. Oh, lots of shots being hit onto Sky. Fat Rocket. Oh, no. Max able to connect. Trick is still very much alive. A Rocket Rain being used, but Gibson able to dodge at least one of those shots.
Yeah, that was definitely bad positioning, and that is going to cost them quite a fair amount. They can't be selling that 2v3, that 3v2, but well played by Dame Paleta to take advantage where they could. The Brock Fat Rocket securing that kill to equalize the scoreline. That was very, very clutch for the side of Dame Paleta. Comeback's got to be kicking themselves after that.
Oh, 100%. That was not the best decision making here. Gibson has a super. There is also hypercharge from Ranks. This is something to think about. He has a wind-up gadget, which is what Dame Paleta should be very, very curious and afraid of. And there is that super from Max. Hypercharge being popped on both sides. Ranks goes down, but no, Reborn doesn't go down on the other side. He has a super to keep him alive.
Gibson is sneaking, though. He might be able to catch Trick. He does get caught in the spike hypercharge, though. Surely he's not able to escape from that. Really good taps from Reborn to secure that. It's all up to Sky now to try to save his team's chances on out in the open. Is he going to be able to 1v2 here, Panda? I have my doubts.
It doesn't look that good. I mean, he's trying. He is dodging a lot of the shots, but there is just so many projectiles for him to contend with, and that is going to be a set win for Dame Paleta as they equalize the set score at 1 apiece. Bridge too far for a comeback, and out in the open for Dame Paleta.
I did like the comp from Dame Paleta a lot more. All things considered, though, comeback made that closer than I think it should have been. They had a chance to secure it. They made a couple of mistakes. Same for Dame Paleta, but overall, really good draft. Well played to secure some of those rounds. It would have been awesome if they won on the back of that Byron 1v3, but unfortunately, we were robbed of that due to the poison tick taking too long. Overall, though, really fun set right there. This has been really back and forth between these two teams all day.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't 100% sure about who all the teams were and how good all the teams were, but like seeing what we saw in the first 3 games, we really got to understand and acclimatize to what these teams have in terms of like things in their tank, right? And both these teams, Comeback and Dame Paleta, have been more or less even with some little like skill expression issues here and there, some more mistakes coming up from Comeback then from Dame Paleta. Dame Paleta are able to abuse a lot more of the mistakes coming out from Comeback. And, you know, it's not just the skill expression, it's also a little bit, I feel, in terms of the draft as well, like how they use the abilities that they had. I still think that the fact that they didn't use a lollipop drop off rip was a major contributing factor, because you lose that control, you lose the game, and you don't have any they don't have anything that can go on the other side. They don't have any brawler that can swim. Angela's been banned out. Eve could have been an option. So, like, all in all, I don't think that they played that well, but I also don't think that they drafted that well because it forced them to play in a much more defensive line than otherwise.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was a little surprised that Brock made it to the 6th pick during the draft, and after watching that, I feel even more convinced that I was right to be shocked about that, because not even like that the Brock did that much with his like main attack or his supers, but just the gadget breaking open the map, giving your team free positioning. It's super important, and we're gonna have to see if they're able to draft a little bit better for the side of comeback, because we're gonna be moving into set number 3 here. This is a massive set as far as the momentum goes. Both of these teams really trying to lock out this 3rd set, take that advantage in the matchup, but it's gonna be hot zone Ring of Fire for the map pan.
Oh, 100%. And I want to see how this one goes because we've seen some very, very interesting compositions coming down in a lot of these hot zone sets. We saw, I think, a first pick Finks, which was countered out by both Ems and Poco. So these teams know what they need to do. But I'm curious to see how this actually plays out. Pierce is a brawler that a lot of people are using, and it's not being banned out. So maybe it's going to be picked up because you mentioned that the hypercharge isn't out yet. So yeah.
Yeah, I've been surprised with the lack of Pierce bans, I would say. I feel like he is still pretty easily a top 5 brawler in the game, with or without a hypercharge, with or without buffies. I feel like he's one of the only buffy-less brawlers that can kind of hang with some of these brawlers at the very, very top of the meta. So I think that he's pretty versatile across game modes. As long as there's a little bit of open space, I think you can probably make a Pierce work. And his super is going to be even more impactful on a map like, or on a game mode like Hot Zone, where you kind of are forced to group up in the middle of the map.
Exactly. And Ring of Fire, you have a lot of different compositions that you can go for. What is this? You can go for long range brawlers, like for example, Pierce. Battle is something that we tend to. It's just internet is not really. So you have to carry it off.
Fair enough, man. Well, we'll be waiting for these teams to get into our Ring of Fire set, guys. I'm definitely keeping an eye open for some of these longer range brawlers, since it is one of the more open maps we have in the game, or in the Hot Zone rotation. We have our bans coming through, though. Comeback are going to ban out the Crow, Mortis, and Spike. Dame Paleta opting for the Poco, Byron, and Ruffs bans. They do have the first pick, and we are finally going to get our first chance to look at the brand new Lou buffs. Like I explained earlier, he does have a little bit new tune-ups where he starts freezing his, or he's, let me try to figure out how to phrase this. Basically, he freezes his opponents a little bit more when they're standing on the ice rink per second than he used to, as well as it takes longer for people to start unfreezing once they stop getting hit by the Lou. So I do like that Lou pick. The Finks is going to be the answer for comeback. I feel like these are two brawlers who have always had a place in the Hot Zone meta and probably always will.
Yeah, indeed. And just looking at what we have right now, I like the Lou pick, right? You have so much area to know. You're going to be able to ensure that you don't get as much value when it comes to facing off against it if you're a tankier opposition. More than that, I feel like both of the supers for Finks and Lou deny the mid, but I feel like Lou super is a little bit more effective in doing so.
Yeah, it can be fully countered out by a Poco who, actually no, Dame Paleta banned the Poco. I think that was a smart choice, but we do see the Ems coming out. We saw how good Ems was against Finks, so I think that Comeback kind of saw that take place. They're like, okay, we're not going to let the other team get Ems. We'll take her for ourselves, but the Alligator is definitely going to have some solid matchups for Dame Paleta. They're continuing the aggression too with another Leon. They've got two very sneaky brawlers.
Yeah, you have the assassination from Ali, you have the assassination ability from Leon, but you don't have a bulk in HP here. You don't have any sort of heal coming in from them. Hank is going to be picked up by the side of Comeback, and yes, you have damage from Leon and Ali, but like into a Hank, it's very difficult. I feel like if you want to address Hank, it shouldn't be up close and personal. It should be like from a safer distance.
It's gonna be a tough matchup to deal with the Hank for sure. I think that a lot of it is gonna, I mean, if the Ali is able to jump out of the way of a Hank super, then that is going to be a huge thing to look out for as far as the micro interactions go. But if Hank is able to land that super the second the Ali lands, that's pretty much going to delete her immediately. So I don't know. I think the Hank was a pretty good pick. It will feed the Leon and the Lou though, so that is definitely something to watch out for. Two brawlers with pretty impactful hypers once they get them charged up.
Indeed, we're going to go to game number 1 of set number 3. Comeback and Dame Paleta have won a single set each, so it is back to parity, but this is definitely favoring Dame Paleta considering the overarching leaderboard.
Yep, Max is going to be trying to take advantage of this grass over here. He gets a couple of jumps in, but he is quickly dealt with by Sky and Ranks. Gibson is trying to do what he can, but like I said, he's already feeding a lot of super. Trick has his invisibility. He's going to be maneuvering into this grass. He does get spotted out by Ranks, but Reborn getting that ice rink on the zone, going to allow for Dame Paleta to even up the scoreline.
Yeah, Gibson is being played like a puppy and like being dog walked by the Leon there, because the Leon is just keeping him at range. So what started off as a really good game for comeback is now proving to be not as useful.
I like played like a puppy. I'm going to add that to my lexicon. But Ranks got his super. He's going to hit the knockback on Max to waste a couple of her dashes. Max does not care at all, though. He's going to go right back in, securing that kill. Sky does have full control of the zone right now, and with that time warp, he's going to be able to pretty freely juke out of any of these loot bullets. Comeback have about a 10% lead, but Sky's going to be quickly dealt with by Max.
Yeah, and we already see the lollipop. Just look at the speed of the lollipop drop games. It's always crazy to me.
It is ridiculous. It's actually such a huge buff, and especially if you're already a fast brawler like Leon, it just makes you so hard to hit. That's a great pinch off, though. Sky is the lone member remaining, and he is going to be able to kill the alligator, so pretty clutch there. Gets the time warp down for his teammates, but he's not going to be able to get value out of that.
Yeah, Trick has a super and is tagging up Gibson a little bit. Gibson pops his hypercharge and gets a kill off on a Max here, going up against Trick, but you know, he can't really get that bag of tricks out.
Yeah, that's going to be a huge hypercharged ice rink on the zone too, allowing Dame Paleta to get a little bit of the zone time back. It's been a really back and forth game. It's been a game of waves so far, and that ice rink is going to be huge for Dame Paleta to hold position. Max is trying to make Ranks' life a living hell, but it's not going the greatest so far. Max is going to be able to kill. Nope, Sky is going to be able to survive, actually. We're getting to the end of this game, and it's been really back and forth. Reborn is holding it down to the best of his ability.
Yeah, we see moments of brilliance coming in from both sides. Oh my god, kill on kill. Ranks is alive in the middle. He might be dead, and he pops his hypercharge and he dies. There's going to be a lollipop up in the middle. Gibson is going to try to go in. It doesn't matter. Those kills from Trick are exactly what they need. Dame Paleta, take game number 1.
That's as close as it's going to get, man. I mean, we saw like one team would get 10%, then they'd get pushed off, the other team gets 20, then they get pushed off. It was just so back and forth the entire time. It really just came down to who got the last kill of the game, essentially, and that ended up going in Dame Paleta's favor. But Comeback have to be feeling okay about this. Clearly a very winnable set for both of these rosters.
I have to say, both Max and Trick know exactly what they should be doing, which oppositions that they should go up against and take them out. And they've done a really stellar job of that. But already off rip, Comeback have a better start than Dame Paleta, and we saw that last time around too.
Yeah, we're going to have to see how long it takes Reborn to get that first ice rink. I think that's the main thing that allows Dame Paleta to get their positioning back, but Max is doing a fantastic job terrorizing the opponents right now. He's going to pop that super for a little bit of extra damage, and that's going to secure him 2 kills. Reborn surviving on very low HP on the zone is going to allow Dame Paleta to get a little bit of a lead.
I'm not gonna lie, this composition from Dame Paleta is so fun to play. Like, even if they aren't winning as much as they should be winning, it is so fun just to look at.
Yeah, I agree with that. Look at the Leon just speeding around, just kind of juking shots, having a good time. Ranks is going to clear out that zone pretty much by himself, though. M's able to dominate so much positioning with that, but the ice rink is going to be down, and Max is going to go back. He's been targeting Ranks the entire game. I kind of feel bad for the M's, man.
Oh my god, Max on 180 takes out Gibson as well. Sky going to be going down, but manages to get a shot off on Reborn, which is going to be massive. Now Ranks is going to be going up against the Leon. The proposition for the alley isn't all that great because Gibson is there, but the alley has hypercharge, and they have to be careful about that. Max pops a hypercharge, goes in. Is he going to be able to get the kill on Ranks? He tries, but he gets pushed back. The stun is there. Ranks is going to be muted out, and he's going to be stunned because of that super coming in. Now Max finally finds the kill onto Ranks, goes in on a Gibson, finally gets taken out. Gibson versus Trick goes the way of Trick. There are teleports being used by Sky, very much alive. Lots of juking. Sky gets the kill on the other side. This is crazy.
There's so much happening right now, and the zone is as even as it's ever been. Max is going to pop that super for the extra damage, securing that kill, but Gibson is looking nice and healthy on that zone with his teammate Sky, popping the Finks hypercharge, and that should be enough for Comeback to get the comeback in game number 2. Super back and forth game. A lot of stuff happening all over the map right there, but Comeback was able to take advantage and not fall down for that last kill. That could have definitely got Mixy if they lost control at the end.
Yeah, we might just come back to not only set score, but it might come down to game score specifically to see who makes it if Comeback win this one. We're gonna go into our next game here, and it is anybody's game because Comeback won 1 and Dame Paleta won 1.
This has been a really fun set to watch. We're going to see Reborn taking advantage of the invisibility, trying to charge up his first super off Sky, but Sky is winning this 1v1 so far with the help of ranks. They're going to be able to clean up, and Comeback is going to be the first one to hit 20% on the zone. Max is going to see what he can do about it, but it's not going to be much if they're grouped up.
Indeed, Dame Paleta being pushed back so much at the start. Right off rip, they don't have the best composition. They have to be a little bit careful because obviously Hank is a little tanky.
Definitely. I mean, it's in his name pretty much. Frank is a tank, Hank is a tank. They got a lot of HP to work with, but Trick is going to be trying to use that HP against him to charge up a super. He does get the super, and he avoids the Hank missile, so pretty clutch play by him, but he will be the next one to fall, and this is the first and only game that we've seen be a little bit more one-sided.
Yeah, this is massive for Comeback here now. Trick going in. Can he find the kill? He's trying, but no, he doesn't. He gets found out. Gadget pop by Max. He's going to go in for the hunt onto Ranks. And can he find the kill under Ranks? He tries, but no, Gibson is able to pop him out of existence.
Yeah, after two of the most electric games we've seen in this entire tournament, we are going to have kind of a stomping in game number 3. That's going to be Comeback taking game 3 very comfortably after some of the most back and forth hot zone games I've ever seen, if I'm being honest with you. Really fun set. Wish we could have got a banger in game number 3 too, but Comeback seems like they understand it now.
You know what the biggest betrayal, not betrayal, but the saddest part about all of this is that we aren't going to see both Comeback and Dame Paleta at the later stages, right? We have to say goodbye to one of these teams, and I think that's sad because I'm enjoying what I'm seeing right now. This is so good. I wish both of these teams could progress, but that's not how it works. So it is such an important set for Comeback to win this one, because if they lose it, the Dame Paleta are pretty much, you know, on a path to victory.
Yep, if Comeback do manage to lose this set, then it would be up to Capiata FC to be Comeback's heroes. So they want to make sure that Comeback is keeping it inside of their own grasp. They want to control their own destiny. Dame Paleta, on the other hand, they just want to get one more set win. Obviously, if they beat Comeback outright, then they're going to be securing that ticket. But even if they just secure a second set, then they can secure their ticket just by sweeping Capiata FC again. So I think those are the stakes that we're working with. Either way, this is the exact type of matchup that Comeback needed. They need to secure this in 3-1 to give themselves a really good chance to qualify.
Yeah, but it's very unfortunate for Comeback, right? Because they have conceded a set against Dame Paleta already. So in a way, they're behind Dame Paleta in terms of the scores, the aggregate scores, let's say. So they need to win this one. And even so, Comeback need Dame Paleta to at least lose a set or a few games against Capiata FC for it to happen. So, you know, even if Comeback win this one, it's not very.
I think if Comeback wins, then they'll be tied up completely across the board, and it will really just come down to any of these two teams dropping a set to Capiata FC. So Capiata FC might end up being our one team that we really got to watch out for here. If Comeback wins this set, then it's really all going to be in their hands. So very intriguing stuff happening there, but we've got our next set pulled up, guys. I think Panda might be having a couple of issues too, so I'll talk until he comes back, but we've got Deathcap Trap, Ali, Ruffs, M, Spike, Crow, and Leon are all banned out. I like these bans from Dame Paleta. They know that the Leon has been a very popular pick in this region, a very impactful one at that. So getting him and Crow out of the way, as well as Spike, who's been one of the more versatile brawlers, I think it's a smart decision. We do see the Sandy come out first for Comeback.
The Sandy pick off Cap Trap because you have the Sands first, you ability to wall peek really, and then the fact that Ems is banned out incentivizes a pick such as Terra. So the Sandy makes sure that that isn't going to be there. And in a map where you have lines of sight which aren't that big, Sandy's relatively short attack isn't that much of a disability. Nita as well is another reason why you can pick Nita on a map such as this for similar reasons as Sandy.
Yeah, Nita and Sandy are two brawlers that are really only good once they get supers, but the fact that they both exist on the other team means that they can kind of charge supers off of each other, so neither of them should be getting hard stuck if they're laning each other. It's really going to be about who can poke better to see who's going to win that 1v1. Once again, the safest mid of all time, Gus is coming out for Dame Paleta. Can't hate on the pick, but I'm not going to pretend like I love the pick. It kind of just is what it is.
Indeed, the Gus pick is a pretty standard one, I would say. I mean, I don't expect anything different really to come out from Dame Paleta, at least in my opinion, but you gotta see what Deathcap Trap is gonna give us, and it's gonna be Mortis from Comeback. So I like this Mortis pick. I really like this Mortis pick. Into Nita and Gus, at least till Nita gets the bear, the Mortis is gonna be pretty good. But the Gus is also not gonna be as useful because of the fact that the Mortis exists.
Yeah, I'm definitely both scared for the Mortis and scared for the people playing against the Mortis, because I do agree with you that once the Nita Bear is out, the Mortis is just going to have to kind of run away from it. And it's not like the Sandy's got a lot of damage for a Nita Bear. They are going to take out that Otis to have a little bit more DPS, but overall, I think the Mortis could be a massively impactful brawler. If he's able to get onto the gem carrier, it can win in the game, but he also could just feed Nita Bears and be a little useless.
Indeed. The muting out is so important for Otis, right? You want to make sure that some of the oppositions get muted out and can't really use their abilities as much as they want. Or the poison, the fact that you have the fast splatter, which zones out people as well. And, you know, Otis just generally is a pretty good brawler when it comes to dishing out damage. But the only note that I have is the damage, sorry, the range disparity that the compositions have, because neither Otis nor Sandy can really contend with Gus. Maybe a little bit. It's not 100% sure. I don't know about the Stu though.
Yeah, I mean, Stu is nice in the Mortis because you can dash away from him at the very least. You're going to be able to outrange the Sandy too, but it's not a lot of damage. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how they clean up with this Mortis. The Gus range advantage in the mid should allow Dame Paleta to get off to a good start, but if you get off to a good start and then lose all your gems to a Mortis, then you might as well have just been working for the other team. So I'm definitely keeping my eyes peeled for Sky this game.
Mortis was a CIA plan. Anyway, we're going to game number 1 of fourth set here between Comeback and Dame Paleta.
We're going to have Mortis already making his presence known in the back of the spawn here. He's using that Creature of the Night gadget to not actually get another shot off. I think he expected to get one more shot off. Didn't end up happening right there, but Gibson is going to be sitting on all of the gems so far. The pressure that Sky's been able to apply has just allowed his teammates to get a lot of free positioning, and Ranks is going to clean up Trick there. Very low HP, but a good kill for him. Sky is going to be trying to continue his pressure up here. Max is getting some of the nice wall breaks. We have seen a lot of issues coming out from the lack of wall break on this map. That's why we've seen Colonel Ruffs be a pretty popular pick. I believe that's probably the reason they took the Stu in the first place. Sky is going to hit those bats though, and he is going to cycle them, not choosing to let them rip quite yet though. Maybe going to hold off for his hypercharge in a future push, but Dame Paleta taking back a little bit of control. Come back trying to do what they can. The mute is going to connect onto Max, and he delivers a gem over to the opposing side too. Gibson has to be careful picking this up, but with the Sandy invisibility, he's going to be able to. Sky barely misses that second set of hypercharge bats, still securing the kill onto Nita, but that is going to be 10 gems sitting on Gibson. Dame Paleta have to make something happen quickly. Gibson falling back. Max is going to try to keep this pressure up. Reborn did just use his shield. We do have a Nita Hyper Bear. It's going to be the final vestige of hope for the side of Dame Paleta. Gibson's taking a lot of damage, but he should be able to outlast the bear. He is barely able to do so. That could have been a very mixy situation if he fell in the spawn, but overall, pretty solid win from Comeback. They were able to hold control most of the game and never lost it.
Yeah, I'm back, but I don't know if I'm 100% back. I don't know if I'm 100% choppy or not.
I think you look and sound good to me. Chat, let me know if Panda is coming through for y'all as well. But that was a pretty competitive game. I feel like the Mortis was able to get a lot of value, not even from necessarily kills or damage, but just from positioning, from distractibility. He was able to make himself a nuisance, and that was definitely pretty helpful for his teammates. But we're getting back into match point for Comeback now. This can be huge for them.
Yeah, great spot for Comeback to be in. They need to close this one out. They already have the advantage here, so they just have to be cool about this. Now Max going in onto Sky. He wants to go in for the kill, and Sky doesn't have the best opposition here, and he's also kind of dashed in the opposite direction of where he should have gone. He got the kill, but he got taken out himself, and that doesn't give any help to Comeback because they've lost complete control of the mid and allowed Dame Paleta to claim 4 gems.
Yeah, things are looking good for Dame Paleta for the first time in a while. Sky does have his bats ready to go, though, but that wall break from Max is going to eliminate a little bit of the cover that Sky has to work around. So I'm really liking these Stu wall breaks. I think that the Stu wall break pick was a pretty solid option, all things considered. That being said, he is going to get ran down a little bit by Mortis. They do group up and deal with the Creature of the Night gadget very nicely, though.
Gibson does take a little bit more damage than he anticipated because of the Cookie Popper. Now Trick getting the best of Ranks over there. Reborn might get in a bit of a difficult situation, but Trick is able to help him out with that, and Hyper Bear does come down, but gets dispatched almost immediately. Then that just is a testament to how much damage both Otis can do, really.
Yeah, Otis is just such a good DPS brawler. Don't know how he didn't get nerfed with all those other brawlers, but Dame Paleta, they're in a position to win this game right now. The Hypercharged Shield is going to be gifted to Max. Sky is trying to get a little bit of pressure back here, but he's going to fall down, and that is going to be Dame Paleta dragging this on a little bit longer. They were on match point, comeback was, and now Dame Paleta is going to be on set point, so they are one singular game away from both losing this entire match and bringing it into a set 5, which would be very fun to see.
Oh, 100%. It's going to be super beats for step 5. But your first game here, I mean, it is the third game off the set here, and it is very, very important. All of the marbles are on the line here. Comeback have to get this one to close this game out, but Dame Paleta need this one to force the set number 5. Ranks and Gibson are in the mid here.
Yep, Gibson's going to be grabbing those first couple of gems. Reborn just trying to line up a couple of shots, work towards that Kooky Popper, but he is going to be getting the worst of this 1v1 so far. He's going to fall quite weak. Max does go through with the wall break. Even with the stun coming through from Ranks, it's still going to be enough for the kill. We do have a Nita Bear finally on the ground as well, so Gibson's going to have to definitely worry about that and fall back.
Oh, 100%. And now Ranks is facing very stiff opposition from Max, who's going to be using the breakthrough to get the kill there. Pops out with his super as well. Now Sky is trying to cause a little bit of a ruckus at the back, but not able to do too much there as they're completely safe.
Positioning really good for Dame Paleta. Max is in this bush with a super online. Reborn is kind of hanging out, just collecting these gems as they fall, but the entire comeback roster is fully trapped in their spawn. Ranks already popped that Sandy stun a little bit prematurely too. Might be hard to land this.
Yeah, this is a difficult spot to be. And Max gets a kill on him. Ranks is just huge. Now he's going to go on the offense against Gibson. Is very low, but they don't care about getting the kill in that situation. Just pushing him back long enough is enough for them, as they are going to be claiming a few more gems. On the left-hand side, once Sky is going to be facing off against Trick with the super of the burst, you really can't do anything. Max also with his hypercharge. I feel like Dame Paleta know what is at stake and are really hunkering down right now.
Yeah, Max is locking in on a whole nother level right here. They're going to be getting pushed back pretty hard by the Sandstorm, but Max is still going to be able to drag this a little bit longer. He does catch Sky on fire as well, which is going to be quite helpful. Dame Paleta have pretty much completely lost mid control, but if they're able to get this gem, it won't matter too much. Reborn is going to tank that Otis mute. He pops the shield, and he's going to escape on very low HP. He ends up dying.
Yeah, Sky managed to get the reset, which is very important. That is going to give a little bit of leeway. There is enough time even for the 10th gem to spawn, so you don't need to really commit for the run onto Dame Paleta there. I'm not sure why they aren't really...
I don't think they have time. I think they have to go for the kill, and they're going to try to force it through, but it's not going to be enough at the end of the day. They were, I think, like 2 seconds away from being able to reset that one naturally pin, but it's not going to be enough. They needed a couple more seconds. They're not going to get it. Dame Paleta going to tie it up 2-2, and we're going to be going into set 5.
Wait, I need help. Is it every 6 seconds or every 7 seconds for a gem?
I think it's like closer to... I know it's like it's longer than 5, I think. I don't know if it's exactly 6 or 7. I hate that I'm saying these numbers back to back, but
oh my
it's one of those two. It's either 6 or 7. Don't make fun of me in the chat, guys.
Make fun of him in the chat, guys, please. But this is actually very difficult for comeback here, because now that they've conceded a second set against Dame Paleta, it shrinks their chances of making it to the next stages. So feels like, you know, the walls are closing in against them right now.
Yeah, they no longer control their own destiny. That is the big thing. That's the issue, because match number 5 is going to be Dame Paleta versus Capiata FC. And Dame Paleta is going to have to drop one of those sets in order for Comeback to come back. So definitely not the position Comeback wanted to be in. They almost were. They were a singular game away from being able to win 3-1 and control their own destiny. So can't blame anybody except for yourself, but still a tough break. They're going to have to count on Capiata FC to lock in.
Yeah, things were going so great for them till they weren't, and that's usually how it happens. But right now the cookie is crumbling right in their hands, and you know they gotta eat it. They gotta get the win. They gotta get the dub here, and it is Super Beach, which is a very contentious map. So I want to see what different strategies that these two teams bring, and we're gonna go into our draft here. The bans are gonna be Crow, Nita, Ems, Hank, Frank, Leon, along with our global bans being Chloe, BB, Pierce, and Bo. I'm sorry about that.
No, keep on scoffing at the Glowy. We will keep slandering this until they change him back to Globert like he was supposed to be. But the first pick coming out is going to be Cordelius, a brawler who used to be very meta and has kind of gotten power crept a little bit. He didn't get nerfed at all, but he has like slowly but surely fallen off a little bit. I think he's a little bit underutilized, so I think it's a solid first pick. And it's going to have a decent enough matchup into Shade, but doesn't get fully countered out. So I see why that's the aggro comeback chose.
the shade pick is so good. We've seen how good it can be in the map because once you start cycling your supers, you can get into the lines of the other team, and then when you get your hypercharge, it's just basically very difficult to compete against. I like the meeple because you have different ideas that you can go match the meeple to zone complete parts out, especially in a map as cagey as this one. It's pretty good. Then you also have your super, which helps you out there. David Polita opting for the bull and embracing it, and I know that you like that one a lot.
I do. I think it's a great matchup into the Shade. Obviously, Shade can kind of sit on the other side of the wall from you and charge up that super, but once you have a Bull super, you can dash through the wall, you can destroy the wall, you can stun the Shade, you can farm super and hyper off the Shade. I think it's a pretty favorable matchup for the Bull. So I like this comp from Dame Paleta. They have two brawlers that have a decent enough matchup into the Shade, which is clearly going to be the main aggression coming from the side of Comeback. Meeple doesn't have the worst matchups in the world too, but not really enough DPS to take out a Bull if he gets dashed on.
Yeah, that is true, but I feel like you can probably stun it mid-dash anyway, right? So you have Charlie coming out for Dame Paleta, and that should shut down Shade in its tracks if it hits. That being said, I've seen Charlie being brought out a lot, but it's not been as effective in converting its picks into wins.
Yeah, I like the pick because the spiders counter out the meeple. I think they've got enough for the Shade already, even though I'm not a huge fan of Charlie into Shade. I do like this comp from Dame Paleta. I feel like they kind of have all their bases covered, but we're going to see a Shelly come out. It's not my favorite Shelly matchup. I mean, she's got a good matchup into the Bull, but Cordelius and Charlie should be able to kind of freely eat off of the Shelly. So I feel like Dame Paleta has the comp by a little bit. I feel like it's going to be on the Shade to make some game-breaking plays.
Oh, 100%. It really does come down to that because the invincibility that Bull gets with Touch Guy and the fact that you can even use T-Bone Injector or T-Bone something else. I don't know what it's called. T-Bone Injector. I'm going to call it T-Bone Injection. That's the one. Makes it that much harder to kill. So I'm a little bit concerned about that. We're going to go to set number 5. Both teams have taken 2 against each other. So it is sudden death here.
Yeah, this is a massive set for both of these teams, and the stakes couldn't be higher, the pressure couldn't be higher. These guys are going to have to lock in really hard, but we've got Ranks manning that Shade again, which he's just been an absolute menace on throughout our entire day of matches today. He's already got a super, and he's trying to take that middle positioning. Reborn with an opportunistic realm of him is going to be able to kind of slow down that pressure for now. He's trying to respawn onto the meeple, and now that he gets out, he's going to have his chance to, but he's going to be quickly dealt with. He's going to be quite weak already.
Yeah, and he's going to be coming out of the cocoon straight into Max. Max has a super as well, so he could go for that, but decides to hold on to it, probably to make a play later on. And there is that super kick in. That is going to get them the goal very early on within 40 seconds.
Really quick turnaround right there. I thought that Comeback had a good amount of positioning right there, but they're going to quickly, Dame Paleta is going to quickly turn that into a goal, turn it on its head. Reborn's got the realm ready to go to, but Max connects that dash. He's going to stun out Ranks, fully cycles out his dash again, and the Shelly is going to get taken to the realm. Surely that's going to be enough for Max to walk it in. The meeple stun goes down, and it's nowhere near enough to stop that Bull. The lack of DPS coming back to bite Comeback in the butt, but Dame Paleta taking it to match point.
Yeah, insane stuff coming from Dame Paleta. I like the way that they all work together. You had the Cordelius taking out the Shelly. Immediately, that sent a signal to the Bull. Okay, I need to go in with my super immediately. The ball was passing. That's where they got it in. Shelly popped the hypercharge, but, couldn't do anything about it. We're going to go into game number 2, and Dame Paleta are on match point, which is unlikely considering what they were at, which was losing in a 3-0.
Yeah, no, they're doing a great job coming back here so far. Ranks versus Max is the matchup to watch here. It looks like Ranks has the advantage with the walls. He is going to get that first kill of the game, and Sky's going to be able to swing the rock over to him, but he's not healthy enough to try to walk it in on the Charlie for now. Dame Paleta's defense holding strong as Reborn has Gibson trapped in the realm.
Yeah, now Reborn is going to go up against Gibson, and Max is on the right-hand side trying to take the kill on the Sky. He does get the kill on the Sky. The ball is with Trick and Reborn. They are being pushed back a lot. Jump coming in from Reborn and make sure that Ranks doesn't get him lacking in such a contested map right now.
Yeah, Max is going to try to figure out what to do with this ball, and he's just going to end up putting it right behind him for the time being. I guess maybe he's going to consider cornering it, but Ranks has hyper. This is the moment. He does hit the stun onto Ranks, though, so that's going to be a huge kill if he does secure that. Wow. Gibson's going to pop out of the realm at the worst time, though, and now Reborn's going to be in a bad spot. He is able to jump out of that. Does Trick possibly have an angle here? He goes for it anyway, but realistically, he's just going to be happy to get out with his life.
That was so difficult. There is a hypercharge on the Bull, and that's what you need to be worried about. On the other side, there's hypercharge on Meeple, but he's also gonna have the stun, so I don't think the Bull has a clear line of sight going straight up against this Meeple just right now. Lots of pressure. Bull finally going in. He gets stunned. There's a kill. Oh, he tries to get that goal, and unfortunate he wasn't close enough. Rem's going in on the right-hand side, and he should be able to get the kill on the Charlie there, but unfortunately he gets taken out, and he's also going to be cocooned here. Max going up here. Oh, the kills have been confirmed, and that is enough. That is going to be Dame Paleta taking this one and taking it up in a 3-2. Wait, never mind.
Not yet, not yet. That was
Not
really
yet.
close, though.
Not yet.
That was really good communication. Reborn took the Shelly to the realm and then walked it all the way up, knowing that his bull would be able to swing him the rock upon exiting that realm, though. So really good teamwork. Max is going to go for the stun on the Shade again. This bull into Shade matchup has just been so much in Dame Paleta's favor. Trick is going to be popping off on Gibson, too. He connects the cocoon onto the Meeple, and with only 20 seconds left, they're just going to swing the ball back, playing it better safe than sorry.
Yep, 18 seconds left, and they have the ball. They aren't gonna force anything. They aren't gonna take any risks. They don't need to. But there is that hypercharge on Gibson, which is a little bit scary. And immediately we do have the cocoon coming down. There is Sky with his hypercharge, but it's a little too late. Gibson as well. There are spins coming around, and that is gonna be all she wrote.
Clown pins after that contested of a game is crazy work from Dame Paleta, but they are rubbing it in. They are making sure their opponents know who the better team is here. And that is going to be Dame Paleta securing another win over Comeback. These were really tightly contested sets, but at the end of the day, it seems like Dame Paleta just had their number, and they are going to be probably securing that Group D ticket unless they manage to brutally choke to Capiata.
No, they've secured it. I don't think there is a way back for them to get back in this one.
Yeah, because they beat them twice. You're right. Well, congratulations to Dame Paleta. Much deserved victory.
Yeah, congratulations to them. They played really well, especially in the second half. I felt like in the first two games, Comeback was supposedly like the stronger team. They had much cleaner plays, but then Dame Paleta got not only their comeback, their reverse comeback against Comeback, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, coming back against Comeback. It's got to feel bad for whoever came up with the team name, but Dame Paleta played incredible Brawl Stars today. Even though I was really excited watching Ranks cook on the Shade, I feel like that bull gameplay was exactly what they needed to counter it out. I feel like the Stomper gadget was showing a little bit of versatility too. I did think that the T-Bone missile gadget was going to be the preferred one, but I guess if you have a matchup into a tank, that stun is going to be a little bit more impactful. Regardless of that, really good team plays. The communication, like when Cord would take somebody to the realm, they would respawn in the exact right position. It was just really nice plays.
Yeah, those plays and the coordination that they have is actually really good because it shows that this group can compete with the best of the best in the other group. Like one of the teams that we will keep on talking about across all groups is going to be Zarita Gang, right? Because it's obvious they're the overwhelming favorites. So every other team that is the best in their group is always going to be compared to the Zarita Gang in terms of the skill expression and the draft and the way that they play. And I feel like Dame Paleta are probably a little bit closer, in my opinion, to Zarita Gang compared to say Ensueno and Completo on day number 1. At least that's how I read it.
I think so too. I mean, it was nice that Comeback was pretty similar to their skill level to allow us to not just have one team running away with this group pretty easily, but overall, Group D might have been the most competitive group that we had out of all of our 4 days of group play. And we're not done with it yet, guys. We'll have match 5, which is Dame Paleta versus Capiata FC coming up soon. Us casters are going to take a quick break before that, though, guys. So we'll be back in about 2 minutes.
See you then. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Road to World Cup South America West. It is match day number 4, which means it's Group D, and we've seen 4 matches that have concluded so far. The first one was Comeback versus Dame Paleta, where Comeback won in a 3-1 scoreline. Then we had Capiaro FC versus Dame Paleta, where Dame Paleta again won 3-0.
Yep, and then match number 3, we had Comeback versus Capiata, where Comeback won 3-0. Match number 4, which we just concluded, was Dame Paleta taking a 3-2 victory over Comeback and securing their spot in the grand finals here. So definitely excited about that. I believe that we will have our match 5, even though our Group D winner has been decided. So we are going to have Dame Paleta defending their crown against, once again, Capiata FC, who have unfortunately not won a set yet, but this is going to be their best chance now that Dame Paleta might take a little bit of their foot off the gas.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely might be the case here. But the maps that we're going to be having for this interaction are going to be Hideout Bounty. Then we get Safe Zone on Heist. We got Bells Rock on Knockout Open Business on Hot Zone. And Death Cap Trap, which is on Gem Grab. And obviously, the last 2 maps are going to be only required only played if required.
Yep. But those maps would, in fact, be open business. Oh, you already said that. My bad. But yeah, starting off on Hideout here should be pretty interesting. We've seen a whole lot of Hideout already. It seems like all 3 of these teams prefer Hideout over some of the other bounty maps that we have in the rotation. But what we've seen before is that teams tend to group up a little bit and try to get into those L walls if there's not going to be wall breaks. So some of the more aggressive brawlers can be seen on this map, stuff like Ollie, stuff like Frank. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some of those beefier brawlers. Also, like aggros like Kaze can be pretty good here.
Yeah, and I believe that the last match is a confirmed free win. I'm not 100% sure which team has given the free win, but it really doesn't matter though. Okay, we're gonna still keep track of Dame Paleta versus Capiaro FC. So Hideout, like we mentioned, was the map. So we saw Hideout today once, and it was a very, very cagey affair, I would say. And I think we saw a Squeak being run as well. So I don't know how this one's gonna be going. Really.
Yeah, I think what we saw the last Hideout set was really the game's pace was kind of defined by the ability to break the walls. So we saw the teams like fully grouped up until the Nani decided to use the head to break wall, and then once that happens, it starts to get a little bit more mixed. You have to start playing it a little bit more like a real bounty map. But it looks like we are going to be getting into our Hideout set here. Dame Paleta and Capiata FC running it back for the second time. Global bans are going to be Pierce, BB, Kaze, and Spike. And then our map-specific bans are going to be Charlie, Leon, Jean, Mortis, Angelo, and Nani.
Yep. Lots of the usual suspects on Hideout being banned out, but we still have brawlers like Gus, Byron, RT as well. So RT is going to be the first pick. RT is really great for the dying seconds of a match when you get your hypercharge. Usually you get your hypercharge around that time, and it allows you to either, defend or either aggress according to the situation, as whatever it calls for that situation, rather. Max is going to be picked up for Capiata FC along with Byron. And, you got the speed, you got the Byron, and obviously the hypercharge from the Max is also a big consideration in terms of how it helps your entire team.
Yeah, pretty solid synergy. They got one healer, they got one speed merchant right there, so they'll be able to keep their teammates moving quickly and moving nice and healthy as well. But I do think that RT first pick is something that can be paired up with a lot of other things, because you kind of pre-counter out any full aggro that Capiata might be able to pull out. That being said, they're going to go with another tank counter-ish brawler with the Spike, so not really too sure why they're going for all this anti-tank when there is a Max and Byron on the other team. I guess they're kind of pre-countering out like a Hank or potentially something like that. They're going to go Rosa. All right, they might just be messing around.
Okay, not Poco, what am I saying? Poco, Rosa. Spike, Rosa, and RT. I think this is definitely going to be a very difficult composition for them to run. They might just try to, make the entire map grass and use that aspect. But the fact that Rosa doesn't have sustain in terms of like something to heal her up might be a little bit of a problem for Dame Paleta. There is obviously anti-heal on the other side from Byron as well. So that's something to think about. You could go for Leon, but you still need something to address the Rosa, because if you don't address the Rosa specifically, you're going to be caught out with your pants out.
I'm not sure how much addressing the Rosa needs. I know she got a buff. I believe that her super shield lasts for 4 seconds rather than the previous 3 seconds. That being said, I don't know how much 1 second is going to make. I also don't know what the pick was for the last team right there. So we'll see what's going on over here. I don't know if Capiata decided to dip out of here in this situation, but oh, they
it's a
picked the
spike.
spike that was
Okay.
globally banned. All right, so that's going to be a free win going for Capiata FC. Dame Paleta picking a globally banned brawler. So we've had this mistake happen before, and it's going to happen again. That's going to be a free win.
I can't believe this is the third time it's happened, but I feel like the last time it's happened was the most hilarious time, right? It happened, and then that day was completely canceled, and then it happened on the next day again. And I'm just dumbfounded by this. I'm sorry.
I'm a little bit upset. I wanted to see the Rosa pretty badly. Hopefully, Dame Paleta is going to keep messing around and give us some of these fun draft picks, because Rosa would have been a fun game to see. But you got to pay attention to those global bans, those pesky global bans getting the best of yet another competitor today.
Exactly. And the next mode is going to be heist. We're going to go on safe zone. So we've seen some choice interactions, but one of the things that I've seen is that Melody has been brought out in every safe zone that we've had.
Yeah.
Whether it has been useful or not for the team remains to be seen, because I feel like the team which drafted Melody once on safe zone had a pretty good draft, but their execution was lacking. The one where we saw them face off against Penny, if you remember.
Yeah, I do remember. I feel like as long as you can get a little bit of supercharge, then you're going to be in a great position with Melody. There's really not much that can stop you from getting onto the safe, except for your own lack of ability to charge super. So taking Melody too early in the draft can get you in a sticky situation, especially if brawlers like Spike, who actually isn't going to be available because he is global banned, but brawlers like Penny, brawlers like Belle that can kind of keep their distance can definitely give you a little bit of issues. I'm expecting her to be a bit more of a late pick, as well as like Miko and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Safe zone Miko. I like the safe zone Miko more so than remember the bridge too far Miko that we had. So I think that like safe zone would be the more adept map for something to run like the Miko. You do see the occasional Nani, but like that is usually so hyper specific based off of what you specifically are facing. But expect things like, say, a bow, or because it is very oppressive now, you can run bow on a lot of different maps and compositions. Expect something like a Colette, because Colette with a hypercharge can take down a safe pop. I mean, it can pop the safe by itself one time, so that's also a consideration. Anti-heal has also been a major use case here in safe zone, because in the middle you need to keep a little bit of control, and Crow helps you keep control. But not only that, because Crow is in that position the entire time, it's likely that it might get its hypercharge, which means that it's going to jump on the safe. So a lot of different ideas here.
Yeah, no, those brawlers like Crow and Colette that you said, they play defense, they get a hypercharge, and then they end the safe. That's kind of the methodology as far as those guys go. You also got your brawlers like Chuck, of course, who obviously is always going to be a mainstay in the heist meta. You can do a strategy where you either fully defend him out with a Otis, with a Cordelius, or you can do the base race strategy, which we've seen become a little bit more popular, especially with like brawlers like Colt being so popular. But we've got our bans in here. It's going to be Charlie, Cordelius, and Clancy. Not sure if that's a serious ban. He did get a couple of buffs, but still not convinced the crab's going to be meta. Capiata banning out Melody, Chuck, and Lily.
We're just waiting for the first pick. It's going to be Crow. Hey, Amasut's here. So Crow is probably going to be picked up for all the reasons we mentioned. It's also great for ensuring that the onslaught from the other team gets stymied a little bit, because you got to push back as a result of not healing as much. But Bo coming out for Capiata FC, man, I am so good. Like, just, look at my channel for guides. I don't have guides, guys. But if you want to see ranked content, watch this Duncan guy, man. He's pretty good.
Hey, I appreciate that, man. But you've been dialed in with the analysis today, my brother. We've got the bow, we've got the Penny coming out for Capiata. I do like the bow pick. I think that he's got the range advantage into Crow by a little bit, so a pretty favorable matchup. Only need to land like 3 or 4 of your arrows to take down that Crow. The Penny we've seen be a menace on this map, mostly due to those unbreakable walls. Once you get your turret up there and get it auto-locked onto the safe, you can definitely cause a lot of pressure, a lot of consistent damage over the course of the game. But we're going to see Belle and Bull being picked by Dame Paleta. I guess they're getting a little bit more serious with the draft, but still having fun with the Bull.
Oh yeah, for sure. I feel like Bull is like still I can't believe I'm saying this. Bull is still a good brawler for heist. I never thought I'd be saying that. Anyway, Bull is still a great brawler for heist because of a lot of different things. You can, snowball your supers and try to get the kills on the opposing team. Also, jump onto the enemy safe, which is the most important objective. But Bonnie satisfies that in a much better way because she has range and she's going to be able to hold the mid. And if she needs, she can jump onto the safe, you know? So there are lots of different reasons why you want to run Bonnie. It is a pick which has lost a little bit of a sheen in the recent past.
She has gotten a little bit of a buff recently, though, so I believe it takes her one less shot to charge up her super now, which is the main thing that kicked her out of the meta is when they added a shot to that supercharge rate. So I'm actually really intrigued about that. I feel like this will be a good, it'll be a good game to get our finger on the pulse for how meta Bonnie is going to be in Heist nowadays. Zombie Killer is going to be manning that brawler on the right-hand side here. They're going to be trying to charge super off Max, who is really not going to have too much room to maneuver around here on a bull on an open map.
Wow, Reborn with that authority there goes in. They get all the kills that they need as well just to move up. Now Trick is going to get some shots off on the safe, and that is going to be first blood being drawn by Dame Paleta against the Capiata FC safe.
Yep, there's going to be a lot of pressure going down here, but that penny turret's going to be relatively helpful. Max is not even going to take it out quite yet. He's taking his sweet time with it, but he's just going to stay in this position. He finally dashes onto the safe. That's surely going to be enough for a safe crack. Indeed it is. And now Trick is going to wait. Instead of jumping on the safe, he's going to jump on Chalk Oxidize, though, and try to deal with that turret, but he fails to do so.
Yeah, that's a little bit of misplay there, obviously, here. And Reborn goes down because of all those mines just being so oppressive. You have the mines, you have the penny turret as well. It just makes it very difficult to really maneuver here. There, Hypercharge was popped by Killer. He's going in. He knows he's going to die, but he's going to get a little bit more on the safe there. The super being used on Oxidized by Max. Max is not done with his onslaught. He keeps going, finds a kill in a Gap Pro 5. That is crazy. And the man is not done.
This is a crazy Bull performance on a map that I wouldn't think is good for Bull, but it's definitely being played extremely well so far. We do see the Penny Hyper Turret, though. Not going to lock onto the safe quite yet. Max is going to have to do a good job distracting these Penny Turret shots from just getting onto the safe. Now Trick is going to be responsible for it. He's going to choose to jump on the turret. Maybe a good decision, maybe not a great decision. He's going to be dealt with quickly, but that was definitely a lot of utility used for that.
Oh, 100%. Now Zombie Killer on his super, but he gets taken out immediately by Max here. The turret is going to be dispatched once more, so Dame Paleta understanding that that turret is a big concern for them. Max going in gets a safe pop as well. That's huge. The Poison Fur is going to be confirmed on a Gam profile. The kill from Trick is confirmed. Oxidize is going to be very, very low. There is that Hypercharge from Zombie Killer. He goes in for the jump, and he's not going to be able to get too much on the safe there.
Nah, but Profi's got the Hypercharge Mines on the safe. Surely he has the Tripwire gadget ready to go to pop that, and that honestly could be more damage than even the safe crack gets them. So a lot of damage coming through there. It seems like it is unfortunately not going to be enough for Capiata FC, though. That is going to be Dame Paleta taking the dub on this one.
Yeah, that Hypercharge from the Crow was basically enough to make sure that they get the dub here. So that's game number 1 for Dame Paleta in this one.
Yeah, I'm liking these comps, though. It's definitely fun to get a look at Bonnie, although I wasn't super impressed by what she brought to the table. I can definitely see a world where she's not as useless as she once was in the Heist meta. We didn't really see her get onto the safe and, like, stay up there for a sustained amount of time, but it seems like it's a little easier to get that super, a little easier to get that hyper now after the balance changes, so I think Bonnie could be a little bit more of a niche pick nowadays.
100%, and already we see Max up to his own sneaky tricks. He's trying to get his super and he's going all in, and what he had like 10 HP and he decides to roll into that, gets a kill, and that's what they need, I guess, and lots of bounce shots as well. And that's why you run Bell, because if you get that control and you push people back, then they have to contend with not just the Bell shots but the bounce shots as well.
Yeah, Belle can be such a versatile brawler. She's been an A-tier, S-tier brawler pretty much ever since she dropped into the game, and that isn't changing anytime soon, especially since she got buffed for kind of no reason. She was already meta, in my opinion, but that's going to be a Belle hyper. The bull jump is coming in, too, so it's pouring on the safe for Capiata right now. It's a lot of damage. Dame Paleta, God, I forgot how to say their name, but they are pouring on this damage very quickly. It seems like it might be a little bit over for them.
Honestly, at this point, like, Capiata are facing demons. They need to exercise Dame Paleta because there seems to be no way forward for them to really do anything. They got a little bit of damage, but Max is not taking any prisoners. He's not done, but he finally does get dispatched by Chalk Oxidize, but not before he's completely run through the entire team.
Yeah, the Penny hypercharge turret's going to cause a little bit of trouble, already taking Reborn down, and now Max is just going to be on turret distracting duty, more or less. He can't really do anything to take it out, but he can soak up all of those shots and just make sure they don't lock onto a safe. Those bow mines in the mid, too, are definitely looking good for Capiata. They've got full control, and they're in position to get some damage here, but they're going to have to get this turret locked onto the safe, and that's not happening till Max dies.
Yeah, 100%. That turret seems to be such a big problem here. And obviously with the unbreakable wall, there's nothing Max can really do against that turret. And he can take it out because of that gadget. Beautiful gadget coming in. Turret finally dispatched by Trick's super. And he also gets a kill onto Penny to add insult to injury. It is a 55% differential between these teams. 30 seconds left to spare. It's very, very good for Dami Paleta.
Yeah, that was a ton of pressure from Capiata, but it just didn't result in a whole lot of damage, thanks to, honestly, Max's ability to just distract the Penny turret. He's going to pop Hyper. That's going to be the final safe crack. And surely he's going to stay alive long enough to end this game here. He doesn't even want to do that yet, though. He wants more kills. He's stat farming. With 10 seconds left on the clock, this game is realistically over. Dame Paleta, after giving up a free win, are going to tie us up at 1-1.
Yeah, that is crazy stuff from Dami Paleta. Jump coming in from Zombie. It's not going to matter. Clump in Protesto. Dami Paleta get their own.
That was definitely a decisive victory. Bull star player on safe zone is a crazy thing to witness. I thought they were kind of trolling with the pick, and they might have been trolling with the pick, but if it works, it works, and it definitely worked out very well there. I'm liking these experimental drafts that we're seeing here. Even though there's not very many stakes on this game, we're still having fun. We're still learning about the new meta, so, you know, the more competitive esports we get, the better I'll be feeling about it.
Yeah, I like the fact that Dami Paleta were like, okay, let the bull do whatever it wants. We're just going to try to hold control as much as we can and let the bull feel himself. And that's exactly what the bull did. Went in, used the right supers, right gadgets, the right hypercharge. I can't fault bull for, like, most of the gameplay was like very, very clean. And it was like, you know, the Penny was still as oppressive as it was in the previous time that we saw her in safe zone. But this time the Crow used all of their supers only for the Penny turret, which is, it seems counterintuitive, but the amount of pressure and control that that turret brings, it makes it so that you have to use your super on that turret. So a lot of people might think it's a bad play, but I think it was a very, very important one.
It was pretty much worth it. I mean, the only times that we saw Dame Paleta being trapped in spawn were when that Penny turret was up. So even if you have to waste a crow jump to get it out of the way, it's usually going to be worth it. You'll be able to charge it back up from like the Bonnie was a pretty common super feeder right there. So I feel like the Penny pick was solid. It definitely was the main catalyst of control for Capiata FC, but it just never was able to get that full damage because they weren't able to get a squad wipe and get it locked on to safe.
Yeah, and now let's talk about what we have next. The next set is Bell's Rock. We're tied at 1 apiece, so it's back to parity. So this is going to be defining the momentum, at least, in terms of what it's going to be going down. But I feel like Dame Paleta are, you know, really feeling themselves today. So I want to see what they're going to be trying to do. Even if it's not a conventional composition, I want to see if they want to try out all the buffies that they have, you know?
Yeah, let's just go Rosa first pick on Bell's Rock Panda. Why not at this point in the game? But I'm curious to see. I feel like they will go with a pretty standard draft and maybe one fun pick here or there. As much fun as it is to mess around, you still want to like experiment with some comps that could actually work in competitive. So curious to see what we'll get. Our bans are going to be Charlie, Ruffs, Brock, Gray, and Sprout. And the Gene is going to be the first pick. That's a brawler who I feel like, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Panda, but would you agree that Gene has kind of fallen off a little bit recently?
Yeah, because there are lots of brawlers that can, you know, ensure that the Gene can't get those pulls in, right? And if you do run a Gene this early, you tend to be countered out by compositions which ensure that brawlers that bunch up together don't get as much value because you would give inverse value. For example, like say a Bell, right? A Bell into a Gene is obviously going to favor the team that does run the Bell because, you know, if you're running Gene, you're going to tend to clump up together.
Yeah, I like this Rico pick a lot too. I do tend to favor Rico first pick on this map over a Gene first pick. I feel like while Gene does have that game-winning play, Rico just provides so much more consistent value and pressure, and it's a little bit, honestly, almost as easy to get a game-winning kill on the Rico because you can max range supers people from completely off of your vision. So I really like the Rico. I really like the Ollie. For the end game, I feel like if you're able to get that super, and unless there's like a really hard tank counter or an anti-stun being brought out, it's going to be tough to deal with the Ollie.
Yeah, we've seen how good Ollie can be, especially when you use the super, when you jump over the walls to, you know, ensure that you get one of those stuns. I mean, those hypnotizes, but more so, all you against Gene, you can jump out of harm's way here. Doug is going to be coming out for Dame Paleta. That is an interesting decision, right? You're going to be able to heal up your teammates as well. So I don't know.
Yeah, you can't do much for yourself, but if you make it to the end game, then you should be pretty decent. Obviously, the Gray is banned out, so the Hypercharge Gray strategy is not going to be in play, which would have been really fun to watch. It's going to be a Mortis coming out, so a lot of brawlers that can't really occupy that much space.
I see the vision.
But I do see the vision. I do see the vision. The Hypercharged Doug Hot Dog on the Mortis can definitely cause issues. It's a fun draft. I don't think it's a good one, but it doesn't really matter at this point. Dame Paleta is messing around and having fun with it.
No, fundamentally, this draft is not good, right? But the synergies that this draft brings to the table make it that if you play it right, you can win against most compositions if you're smart about it, I think.
I think so. I don't know. It's going to be tough. I feel like the pressure in the beginning of the game is going to definitely be on Capiata's side because there's not really anybody to keep them back. They can tank all the damage that the Gene has to offer. And then obviously until you get into the face of the Doug and the Mortis, they can't do much to you. So I think this Byron Ollie combination is going to be solid, but there's just not a ton of damage from anybody not named Rico on the comp of Capiata FC.
Yeah, I feel like Rico has to do a lot of heavy lifting in this composition. Otherwise, they're going to be facing certain doom because you have Gene's heals, you have Doug heals, you have Doug hypercharge, you have Mortis heals, there's a lot of heals happening here, buddy. There's too much.
There's a lot of everything happening in this game, and I'm excited to get into it. I think it'll be a fun one. I am very intrigued to see if the Mortis and the Doug combination is going to get any value. I could definitely see them getting a Doug hypercharge and making a game-winning play with that, but in that same vein, I can also see them getting stomped immediately. So we'll see how it goes. It's definitely going to be interesting to see how much positioning Capiata can take.
Yep. And already a shot off on a Reborn there, flexing their Moyai sprays, and Reborn obviously not going to be able to do too much here. Max going in, trying to get a few shots and trying to get his super, and he's playing this one actually pretty well, I have to say.
Yeah, Reborn's going to be falling quite weak. He can obviously heal himself if necessary, but he's going to choose to regen naturally, but Trick is going to get jumped on, and I don't think the help is going to be there. That's going to be a 2v3 now for our Doug and the Mortis, but Zombie Killer way out of positioning. Now we're stuck in a 2v2. This could go any way.
Oh, Max going in. He might get taken out here unless Doug heals him, and Doug manages to heal him. Now it's now or never. Super coming in. Max able to dodge it. He has the hot dog. He's trying to go in. He's going to be taken out before the hot dog comes down. Surely. No, he's still very much alive. How is he alive? How is he still doing this? There's a hypnotize on a Reborn. He gets pulled in. Can he survive? He's still... No, he does just die, and I feel like all of the hopes are going to be dashed along with his death.
Probably. You never know how close Max could be to hypercharge, but he has it. He has it. Okay, this is interesting now. Chalk Oxidized has his Ollie hyper as well, but Max is going to go for it, and he's going to get it. What an amazing 1v2. First warranted clown pin of the day, in my opinion. That was a valid clown pin. Insane 1v2 on the Mortis right there.
That was probably the only valid clown pin I've ever seen in competitive esports. That was crazy. Man is still going in. He's not done. He uses his gadget to get out of there. He's not done. He is not done.
Reborn is probably going to be able to get the best of Chalk Oxidized over here, too. Doesn't even have to use the hot dog, and this goofy comp is somehow going to work for Dame Paleta. He's just throwing the hot dog at his opponents, just really showing the disrespect. But the pull miss. I mean, Zombie Killer could do it.
That was the biggest aura loss that I've ever seen in my life. We went from him almost getting the kill to Trick fumbling that super. Obviously, they're going to win this round, but, like, not in that way. Not in that way.
It was a little bit closer. That definitely would have been crazy aura if he hit the Gene pull, but I mean, this is a fun set. I'm not gonna lie. The stakes are low, but it's a fun set, man. We're seeing Mortis hot dog and competitive, and it worked. I mean, I told you guys to watch out for that Mortis hyper, and he apparently was listening to me as well because he got it immediately and clutched up. That was a really fun game to watch.
That was a good read from you, by the way. I thought it was going to take at least another round for his hypercharge to come in, so that was great. Now we're going to go into game number 2 here. Max is doing the same of what he did in the first game here, which is trying to get his super as fast as possible, using his gadgets to his advantage as well, staying alive as much as possible, going to Reborn and Trick whenever he needs health or help here. Trick going down is not going to be the case because of the super. Super coming in, pull on a Zombie Killer. Max is going to be able to clean them up.
Yeah, it's a really good hot dog there from Reborn. Now Max is going to go in with the bats. He's going to cycle it twice. No. He's got the hot dog ready, and he's surely going to have a hypercharge for next round with the pace that he's moving right now. Chalk Oxidized might be getting fed a little bit too, but I don't think Max is too worried about that. Dame Paleta playing with the utmost confidence today.
Oh my God, Max has just the audacity. There is no other word that defines this man right now. He goes in right to their faces, hits them one, taunts them, goes back, hits the Moyai spray, hits the clown pin, and it's like, what do you got for me, buddy?
It's been an insane game. The Byron Splash is going to get reborn a little bit weaker with that melee star power, but Max has his bats. He's going in crazy. He fully cycles them out. He's got a hypercharge. That's going to be 1 kill. He wants more, though. Chalk Oxidized with the hypercharge going to stall a little bit longer. But who else besides Max, man? Who else besides Max to wrap up that set? That was electric. Only person to get a kill.
Ace. He got an ace. He got all 6 kills. That is... Wow. Like, I know that the composition isn't that good, but like I said, if you have a team which can run this composition well, they are going to be able to beat a lot of other compositions on this map. It's just because of the skill expression and the disparity. It's like a huge chasm in terms of like how much more adept that they are at Brawl Stars against their opposition. It's crazy.
Yeah, man, Max is really showing them that there's levels to this. He is absolutely going crazy on one of the highest skilled brawlers in the game. I know Mortis has gotten a little easier to play, but regardless, you're not making plays like that if you don't got some skill on the board. So really well played. I mean, it was a fun draft. It was executed to perfection, and they're letting Capiata FC hear it, man. They are continuing to spam out those sprays and those pins. They are definitely not satisfied with just claiming Group D victory. They want to do it resoundingly.
Was Max also the bull in Safe Zone?
I think so,
I feel like he was. Okay, that makes so much sense because a lot of the reads where he should have died, normal play as a bull didn't happen, right? And then the same thing translated to his Mortis gameplay. And I like the fact that he's not using the combo spinner, not combo spinner, that's the other one. The spinny gadget, and he's using the one which actually gets you out, the teleport with the bats. And
yes,
I didn't think that gadget was as useful considering the other gadgets exist, but he's showing us why it's still really great because he's able to confirm some kills or go into their faces, come out with his invincibility frames, and also make sure that they use and utilize their utilities when they don't want to, right? So he did so many valuable things. I feel like he was across the board, coast to coast, doing defense like prime LeBron James against Golden State Warriors, man.
Yeah, man, he's been playing these aggro brawlers to absolute perfection right there. The Creature of the Night gadget is, I believe, what the Bats gadget is called, but ever since they took away Combo Spinner's ability to both charge super and go through walls, Creature of the Night has become the more meta gadget, and the way that we saw him using it is pretty textbook, where he goes in, he gets a couple of hits towards super, and then instead of having to dash out, he just uses his gadget to freely escape back to his healer. It was really good, really convenient way to charge up super safely, so loving the strategy right there, loving the way that these balance changes are kind of changing the which build is going to be the best for a lot of these picks. But we've got open business here. Charlie, Bull, Nita, Ems, Mina, and Lumi going to be banned out.
Yeah, and some people need to realize also that the best comp isn't necessarily the most fun comp to either watch or play. The comp that we saw last from Dame Paleta is a very fun comp to play and to watch, but the success rate isn't that high. We're gonna add Stu coming in from Capiata FC into the Bo pick here from Dame Paleta. Bo is very strong, and I feel like open business is one of the best maps for Bo because of the wall placements, which allow you to put your totem down, which helps your entire team.
Yeah, I think that we are seeing 2 wall breakers come out too, so it looks like they want to make open business even a little bit more open here. So I'm curious what range brawlers we're going to see take play. It's going to be a Juju for Capiata, and considering the brawlers we've got, I guess they're going to go with the Stu Speed Zoner gadget rather than the wall break, assuming they want to keep walls up for the Juju. Not a huge fan of thrower into the wall break that the Bo has.
Indeed. The Juju is going to be a little oppressive, but like once the walls come down, this is not a good composition for late game, right? Juju, I feel like they've already kind of put themselves in a bad position with it. That's just my opinion because it's such, you already have Bo and it's so much stronger. I understand that fundamentally Juju is good, but I don't think that in this meta for this map with the brawlers that they've picked, that Juju is a good pick. They offer Barry though, Dame Paleta, and I think it's in response to Juju and also to make sure that Frank is a lot healthier.
Yeah, once I saw that Barry come off the board, I figured it would be a tank, and out of all the tanks, I figured it would be a Frank. He's the beefiest boy, and he's going to get a lot beefier with the help of the healing coming out from Barry right there. So I like that combination. That duo of brawlers is always going to be fantastic. We're going to see Capiata trying to try their hand at the Mortis, though. There's more than enough people to feed off of, so if the Mortis is able to get some chains going, it could definitely be a really good pick, but the HP that Dame Paleta has is going to be tough to overcome.
Yeah, honestly, it really depends on how Mortis plays around with those hypercharges, because with those hypercharges, I feel like he can make something happen. But the issue is that he can't really, get out of the stun of Frank if he's right on the Frank when it uses the super. We're gonna go into game number one off this fourth set between Dame Paleta and Capiata FC, with Dame Paleta have claimed 2 off.
We're going to have to see how quickly this damage comes in onto Reborn on the Frank right here, because Max is going to be pretty much dedicated to healing up Reborn the entire game. Zombie Killer getting pulled in the first interaction is not going to be what Capiata FC needed here. That being said, Shock Oxidai is already feeding very easily on the Mortis. He's already used his bats once, and he's going to be able to disarm these bow mines pretty easily for his teammates, but Reborn's there to deal with them.
Indeed, lots of kills coming down, and the mid has been secured for Dame Paleta, so they aren't in a bad spot by any means. There is that turret, the totem being put down, and Chalk Oxidized is not getting that max sort of, aura that we saw in the last round.
Unfortunately for him, that's very true. And unfortunately for Zombie Killer, these walls are dropping incredibly quickly, making his job as the thrower very, very difficult. Chalk Oxidized doing what he can, is realistically the only member of his team with reasonable matchups, but it's all going to be on his back. He's going to be dispatched by the Berry Ice Cream, and that's just going to be a lot of a zone lead going into the hands of Dame Paleta with their Frank back on point.
Yeah, and this is such a contested, this is the opposite of a contested match, because Dame Paleta are kind of running away with this one. 84-26. Capiata FC really don't have the HP or the damage to really contend with this Dame Paleta side.
Yeah, it's definitely, there's a lot of mayhem going on the zone right now. I mean, we saw like 8 things sitting on that zone, but at the end of the day, the HP is on the side of Dame Paleta with the Berry Frank. That's going to be enough for them to just kind of will their way into 100% on the zone. That was a pretty wild finish to see, but yeah. I mean, it's a messy game, but they've got the comp with the Berry Frank. It's a pretty diabolical duo.
Yeah, the map just lit up in purple, and still the Frank didn't go down. We're going to go into game number 2 of this set. Dame Paleta are on match point here. A win here is going to secure their win in this fixture in a 3-1 scoreline. But Capiata FC have got their first win here, at least. It was a free win, though, but they still got the win.
I'm sure they want to get a legitimate win as well, just to take home with them after they get eliminated here. But Reborn is going to end up trading out there. Most of what he's doing right now is just trying to get the wall break so that Juju is not an issue. Trick is going to play those bow mines, and he's going to be able to dispatch Mortis too, which is good for him, because Mortis would have probably been able to pop those mines easily.
Yeah. Mortis is trying to go in here, gets the super, does miss 2 of those dashes, in fact, and that's a little bit unfortunate. Hypercharge Barry coming in along with the Hypercharge Frank, and Barry is on a mission here. Again, it's Max just performing like a champion right now.
I like how he continues to play aggro even when he's not on an aggro brawler. This guy only has 1 speed, and it is getting straight into your face. Whether he's on a Berry, whether he's on a Bull or a Mortis, he's going to have fun with it, and I'm really liking to see that. He's been one of the most fun players to watch, but he's not done yet. He's going to try to dash in there. He does bite off more than he can chew, but either way, his team is going to be up by 60, 70% on the zone. Reborn is just having fun with it, but this game is realistically going to be over.
Oh yeah, 100%. 95-18. There is no prayer in hell that is going to be answered here as Dame Paleta take this one, take it in a 3-1 scoreline. It would have been a 3-0 had they not picked Global Ban Spike right off the bat. So congratulations to Dame Paleta. They have managed to make it to the next stage of the Road to Brawl Cup South America West, and they're going to be facing off against the 3 other teams that have qualified from each of the other groups in our group stage of the competition.
Yep, definitely a very, very deserved victory for Dame Paleta. Even though they had some really close matches against Comeback, they were able to win every single match they played today. So they're going to be 4-0. They are plus 16 as far as the sets go. Unfortunately for us, we're going to have to say goodbye to Comeback, who put up a really good fight today, and of course Capiata as well. Big shout out to all of these teams for popping out today. Just a little update for you guys. Match 6 was forfeited by Comeback, so Capiata technically getting on the win column right there. But overall, today was all about Dame Paleta. They're going to be our team representing Group D. Oh yeah, they were really dominant here in Group D, and now we finally get a better understanding of the 4 teams that have qualified for the Road to Brawl Cup Road to Brawl Cup double elimination stage. We have our 4 teams. So we have Ensueño Incompleto, which was on day number 1, which is Group A. On Group B, we had Zorita Gang. On Group C, we had Ice Frio Hilo.
I forgot about that. Ice Frio Hilo. And on day 4 today, we have Dame I already forgot the names.
Dame
Dame
Paleta. But yeah, guys,
Paleta.
our bracket's going to be Un Sueño Incompleto versus Dame Paleta for our first match. Then it will be Zarita Gang versus Ice Frio Hilo. I know myself and Pan, as well as a lot of you at home, are probably expecting Zarita Gang to be the team to beat. So honestly, Dame Paleta and Un Sueño Incompleto getting a little bit of the better side of the bracket. So they're going to have to try to take advantage of that first upper bracket semifinals tomorrow.
Yep, and that means that the next time that we get to see you guys is going to be in the finals, which is tomorrow, right? But unfortunately, we won't be seeing Duncan there because he is going to be going. I don't know if you're allowed to say or not.
No, I'm allowed to say it. Yes, guys,
Okay.
I will be in Helsinki, Finland at the Supercell HQ, so I'm very excited about that, but my flight out is tomorrow, so I'm very sadly going to miss the finals of this awesome tournament, but thank you guys so much for bearing with me. It's been a really fun time, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed my commentary with Panda here, of course. Shout out to Panda for helping carry me as always, but he's going to be on his own tomorrow, guys, so give him some of your best wishes. It's going to be a tiring day, but it's going to be an awesome day. We should have some of the best games that we've seen throughout the entire week.
Yeah, for sure. I actually have a person in mind, ya boy Gak. He's the guy who runs BSCN. And if you like esports stuff and you want to keep up to date with esports content, the best thing you can do is go on Twitter and follow official BSCN. I believe that is their Twitter handle, because if you do so, you get a breakup of all the matches that we're going to be having on a week, along with the results of said matches. So you get to keep up to date with everything in the BSC, but also in third-party tournaments, which is very important if you like the esports scene. So make sure you follow them. And I hope you guys have enjoyed today. We have finished our group stages finally. I want to take this time to thank the production team, which is working behind the scenes to make all this possible, and obviously the admin teams as well, the players for participating, because without all of you guys, this wouldn't be possible. And obviously the sponsors, because without that money, without the cheddar, people aren't going to be playing as much. So thank you so much for all of that. Thank you to the viewer for showing up today. I really appreciate it.
Yep, guys, thank you so much for bearing with us in this tournament. Been an amazing time, and I will be saying goodbye to you. Hopefully you guys are all going to pop out tomorrow to support our boy Panda as he casts these finals, but it's going to be a great time. Had an amazing time doing it, guys. Thank you so much, and we will see you next time.
See ya.